Welcome to Pick Me Up, I'm Scared, the podcast.
I'm your host, Madeline.
And I'm your co-host, Kenna.
Okay, Kenna, today before we start the episode, is there any housekeeping to report?
Yes. First of all, thank you for listening. That's always part of housekeeping, is the gratitude.
The gratitude. We still also, for our Patreon, I just realized it's the 21st today that we're recording. This episode will go up the 22nd. We have 1 week to post 2 bonus episodes. So this week we're going to have 2 bonus episodes.
Yeah.
On our Patreon. We have to get those up.
Yes, we have And speaking of Patreon, if you would like to support us more, if you like what you listen to and you like the ad-free experience and you want to listen to bonus episodes, which we call bonies.
Yes.
You can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/pickmeupimscared. And for $2 a month, you get bonus episodes. You get access to things such as like budgeting spreadsheets.
And our birth charts.
You can also send us messages, which most likely I will answer. And yeah, you get that for $2 a month. But shortly it will go up. So get in before, I would say, June. Get in fast.
Get in this week, yeah.
Inflation is real.
So in June, I think it's going up to our lowest tier will be $3 a month instead of $2. But that will still get 2 bonus episodes per month is what we upload there, as well as sometimes the addendum content for our regular episodes.
Yes, and the addendum content, good.
I think it's pretty strong, yeah. So this week we will be posting, I believe, 2 episodes related to our book club.
Yes.
Yeah. So that'll go up. So we're about halfway through our book club book right now, which is Against the Written Word by Ian Sidonius.
Yes. And if you would like to catch up, you can go to the Patreon and get all the links to the book and listen to the past episodes.
Right. And see where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that out of the way, does that mean we can start our episode?
Yes.
All right. So, we all know how this goes.
Yes.
Today I've got a question for Kenna.
Oh, no.
It's a fun one.
Okay.
It's like a silly episode.
Okay.
Okay. It's like a...
You say silly and then I'm like, oh my God.
No, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun one.
I'm afraid.
No. Kenna, today's question I have for you is, have you ever seen a UFO?
Oh, shit, I have.
Okay, I need to hear the story.
Okay, I also, in the same week, saw another strange thing, but, you know.
What?
Okay, so first off, I am from a rural town in Colorado, as you might know if you listen to this podcast, and one of my favorite things to do was just walk around the town, like, really late at night, like 1 a.m, just kind of walk around the neighborhood, like... Just kind of walk around, you know. I'm not being a peeping Tom. No. And, okay, so this week, first off, it started, I'm walking in the middle of the night, rural neighborhood. It's like a cross streets. There's like one light shining down. Like, there's no sidewalks in my town either. So, I see a fucking lizard that is like the size of a crocodile. Like,
what?
Straight up like Komodo dragon style. Just in the middle of the street in Colorado at like 1 a.m.
Whoa.
Yes, and to this day I have no fucking clue what it was, because it definitely was like a reptile, and I'm pretty sure there aren't like alligators or crocodiles in Colorado, but it was straight up like, it looked like a Komodo dragon. Like,
so it was like a shapeshifter.
I don't know, but it was like very, very out of place in Colorado. I mean... Now I'm like, maybe it was just a huge iguana.
But like that big, are there iguanas in Colorado? I thought iguanas thrived in a tropical climate.
I mean, if someone's iguana escaped.
I guess if you have a giant pet iguana.
But I'm like,
it's like the weed dealer with all the reptiles in the house.
Yeah, so
maybe
like,
it was your local weed dealer's pets escape.
My thought was that someone had like a fucking Komodo dragon, like, that they were keeping illegally and just let it fucking loose. Like, you know, like, how in Florida, like, someone let their pet boa constrictor loose, and it just started, like, breeding with other loose boa constrictors. I think you have to double check that on me.
I feel like that's true, and if it's not, we have a similar situation in Highland Park here in LA, where somebody's 2 parrots got out, and they were, like, a mated, bonded pair, and now we just have, like, a flock of feral, previously domesticated parrots that fly around Northeast LA, and you can hear them and see them flying around. So I think this is a thing that happens, like invasive pet species on the loose take over.
But anyway, so that happened the same week. So I was like already freaked out because I was just like, I was half like, because at the time I was listening to like Coast to Coast George Norrie. So I was like, did I see a cryptid? Like,
that's what my first thought was. It's a cryptid. It did not even occur to me this would be like a real animal that someone was keeping as a pet.
Yeah, but my first thought was it was like an alien type cryptid. Like, that was my first thought. And then second thought was like, maybe someone was just illegally keeping this pet and it like got out.
It's more rational. That's the rational mind, but not the fun mind.
It's definitely like, reptiles that size are, I believe, not native to Colorado. And even if there are some there, like, they wouldn't be in this fucking town.
No, very random.
But anyway, so later that week, I do another walk at like 1:30, 2 in the morning. And I just see this light, like, in the sky, kind of like move around like unnaturally. Like, you know, like an airplane moves from like left to right or, you know, whatever. It goes in a straight line. This was like going up and down and like squiggling around. Oh. And it was so weird and unnatural. I booked it home. I like ran as fast. And I am not a runner.
You were like, I'm going home.
I ran so fucking fast. I ran like straight up like a mile, and I never did that in school. Like, I ran so fucking fast, and it was at the same intersection.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, my boyfriend and I have this rule in our relationship that actually has been like really effective, which is that if anything seems off even a little, our rule is we just go. We don't wonder, we just go. And it's been so helpful. Honestly, like, we were in Mexico and a hurricane was coming and everyone was like, it's just a little hurricane. And we were like, do we stay? Do we go? We were like, no, we have the rule. If anything seems a little off, you just go. Don't overthink it, just go. And we went, and the town we were in ended up like losing all its power. We would have been like stuck inside this like compound in like 110-degree weather with like no air conditioning the whole time. God. So it was like a good thing we left. And then similarly, that time we got stuck in a blizzard, there was like the parting of the snow for like less than an hour. And, you know, it was the only chance the snow was going to let up for like 48 hours. And I was like, what do we do? Do we stay parked here? Do we try to go? And we were like, that's the rule. The rule is if anything seems off, you just go. Like, being in a blizzard seems off, so we're just getting out of here. And it's been a very useful tool. Anyway, so I think that, yes, if I saw a giant Komodo dragon in the middle of an intersection or a weird light in the sky, the rule would kick in and I would just go. It's like, I'm not sticking around to see what happens. We're just leaving.
Like, honestly, like, you know, it's like, what is it? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
Yeah.
I just like
flight.
Oh my God. I was
flight.
Like, well, when I saw the thing, I just froze and I was just like, do I run? Because can it run after me, or do I just stay here? So I was stuck for a little bit, and then I was like, don't look it in the eyes, and then I just booked it.
Right. I mean, it kind of also makes me think about my favorite Greg Araki movie, Nowhere.
Which one was that?
That's the one about the alien invasion. And the aliens all kind of look like giant lizard bugs. It's a really good one. So maybe they were related, and the Komodo dragon was flying the spaceship.
I don't know. Now I have to look up what a Komodo dragon looks like, because in my mind, it looks like a cooler crocodile. I mean, alligator?
Cool. I definitely used to follow this woman who like had a pet Komodo dragon. I would just post videos of her feeding it with chopsticks, and it was really cute.
It definitely looked like a Komodo dragon. Like, and it was like the size of one. Wow. Like, but it was like a little. Okay, maybe it was a smaller one, because this one looks like the size, like, this one is eating a cow.
Oh, God.
In the images.
Wow.
Like, and this one is the size really of a truck, so I don't know if it was that big. Maybe it was.
I have no idea.
Wait, now I'm looking up monitor lizard. Maybe it was a monitor lizard.
Wow.
Because I don't think it was as big as a Komodo dragon.
That's wild. Okay, so you have seen a UFO, an unidentified flying object, and potentially a cryptid and or alien.
Yes, and at the same intersection, which was really fucking weird.
In the same week. I think they're related. I think what are the odds those aren't related?
I don't know. You know, I used to look for patterns all the time, and now I'm just like, I don't know. Could just be a coincidence.
Could be, I guess. I don't think so, though. I think it's too fucking weird now.
At this point in my life, it's funny because, like, really the only conspiracies I have are, like, rich people don't care. And I don't think that's a conspiracy.
No, I mean, it's a real conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact.
I think it's because when I was younger, I was really into conspiracy theories. But to me, I thought everyone else realized that ultimately the conspiracy theories were just fun and they weren't real.
No, people think they're real, for sure.
Like, I'm just, because, like, but the thing, too, is, like, I was listening to this podcast called American Hysteria, kind of about, like, oh, like, you have fun with conspiracy theories, and then you realize you go down the rabbit hole, and you're like, whoa, do all of these end in anti-Semitism?
Yeah,
like,
they do. They all end in anti-Semitism, yes.
So I was like, and then I just, you know, because I thought it was just, like, backing off, you know, like, you know, like, people just be like, oh, these are just fun, you know, like, haha, like, comic book style.
No. I mean, I feel like also some of the conspiracy theories, like the theories, right, they're unproven, but like some conspiracies actually do happen and they start out as fringe theories, but those are the ones that usually are not anti-Semitic. So
they're usually stuff like that are, to me, it's like that's always related to like the military, like the Gulf of Tonkin or something.
Right. Or like we talked about last week, the Panama Papers. It's rich people or the military.
Yeah. And it's like, but it's never anything like fantastical. It's never like someone had a magic rabbit that merged with a lizard and then got a sword and then they created money. I don't know. I'm just going, I feel like this is literally where like some of the old like YouTube conspiracy videos went. Oh my gosh. Some of the old YouTube conspiracy videos are so fucking funny because they'll be like, the Smurfs. Do you not see the signals in this? And like, or they would just name a random show where it's like, it's funny because my boyfriend was talking about, we had just these like random, like I had put these 4 random things in a row on our kitchen counter, which is also kind of like a built-in like kitchen table. And I had like, what is it? Like, the angel, a sunny angel doll, 2 candles, a lemon, a lighter, and something else.
So an altar. You built an altar.
But he's like, if we had an HBO show, people would be like, these are all meanings to something. Like, all of these are like keys to understanding the show. And I'm like, I just put all this stuff there because I lined them up. I think it's my ADHD.
Yeah, for sure. I think that like for the UFO thing, I don't think I've ever seen a UFO. But this kind of ties in with, like, rich guy shit, like the Panama Papers, the military, all that. The one time I saw something weird in the sky, I had no clue what it was. My boyfriend saw it, too. It was the middle of the day. We were like, what the fuck is happening? It was, like, just this weird shape of, like, plume of smoke that looked almost like it was exploding. We couldn't figure it out. And we were staring at it, and I was like, the obvious thing it feels like it could be is a UFO. But I don't want to sound stupid. So we sit there staring at it. We're just like, what? And the first thing I say after a moment of silence is I go, is it art? Like, that was what came to mind. I'm like, am I looking at art somehow? And Chris is like, I have no idea what this is. But then I Googled it, and it was just a SpaceX launch.
Oh,
so it was like not a conspiracy, nothing conspiratorial, no deep secrets of the world. It was just a rich guy fucking something up.
Huh.
Yeah. And those are usually the real conspiracies. They're just rich guys fucking something up, and they're not super exciting.
Yeah. My theory about UFOs is I think that if aliens are out there, they're kind of too far away or they're too different than us to make a big difference. Like, I don't think they're flying around abducting people and doing stuff to their butts.
I think if I was an alien, I might abduct somebody.
I wouldn't do stuff to their butts, though.
No, I wouldn't do that. No. But I might take them on, like, I drop them back off. I just take them on a little ride, you know?
Just fuck with them?
Yeah, like, no, I'd be nice about it. I'd be like, what's up? Do you want to come see space? You know, my guy, get in, let's go. Like a hitchhiker. I'd pick up people on planets like hitchhikers. But no, aside from that, I've never seen like an actual unidentified flying object. Everything I've seen that I'm like, what is that? It's all pretty identifiable. I'm like, oh, it's a satellite or it's a helicopter.
Well, to me, I always am usually like, oh, it's just a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like that's the only 2 times when I've been like, this is not normal.
No, that's
and
not
there was
normal.
like, it was like, have you ever felt like primal fear? Like you hear a rattlesnake or like something where you're just like, you feel fear like on a like caveman level where you're like, I do not want to get bit by the snake. I do, you know, like, or you almost get hit by a car or you almost fall off something like where you could have died. Yeah. That feeling, that was like that feeling.
Yeah, one time when I lived in Santa Cruz, there's these things in Santa Cruz called the moon rocks, and they're these like giant rocks that like glow under the full moon. Whoa. Because of like something about the mineral composition, and they're kind of soft, so you can like kind of dig into them with your hands, but they're really large. So one night it was going to be a full moon, and my boyfriend was like, let's go to the moon rocks, let's go find them. And we were supposed to meet his friends there, but we got there late because his work schedule, we got there late for some reason, so we took a different car. So we park in this parking lot where you're supposed to park, and he's like, we're looking for where we're supposed to go, and it's supposed to be this really small trail, and he finds this, like, I shit you not, like, dirt path, like, 3 inches wide, and he's like, this is it. And I was like, I do not think this is it. This is not a trail. This is literally just the woods. You're leading me into the woods. And he's like, no. Like, you're not from Santa Cruz. You don't get it. This is totally some Santa Cruz shit. Like, we're going on this trail. So I'm following him, and it is, like, again, not a trail. Like, I'm, like, trying to hack off, like bushes and trees away from me with my arms. I'm just like, right? I'm not equipped for the outdoors. And then finally, like, the only reason he stops is because ahead of us, in the dark, it's night, we hear a growl up high. Like, and it's up high. And then it's in a tree, and we hear this tree slowly start shaking. And we stop, we freeze. We're like, oh, right? And I'm behind him, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And he's like, I don't know. And then we hear the shaking of the tree accelerate and the growl descend, like, ugh. And then it's like left, right on the tree, like something is hopping from branch to branch. And I'm like, we are about to get fucked up by a mountain lion.
I know, I was just like, mountain lion.
And I was like, I am running, fuck you, this is not a trail. So I turn around, and I'm like running. I'm like, really thought I was going to die. He's behind me at this point because I had been behind him. And we're running. Finally, we got to, like, the parking lot, and we, like, emerge from the bushes, and we run straight into his friends, like, 2 other friends who were coming also late. And they're like, what the fuck were you guys doing in there? And, like, you know, I'm, like, freaking out, right? My boyfriend at the time is just like, we were looking for the trail. And they're like, that's not the trail. This is the trail. And we look literally like just 20 degrees to our right, and there's a clearly marked trail that's all like been cleaned up, and there's like signposts being like, moon rocks this way, and I'm like, fuck you, like, fuck. But anyway, it was so scary because I'm like not a nature person. I don't understand nature, and I was like, yeah, we literally almost got attacked by a mountain lion, and it would be right to do so. We were in its house. That was its mountain. Like, we were not supposed to be there. But anyway, yeah. So aside from that, back on the UFO thing, I do have friends who, like, swear they've seen UFOs. You know, I feel like I know a lot of people are like, no, man, I saw something that I cannot explain. Like, they know it's not a plane. They know it's not a satellite. They know it's not a helicopter or anything like that. And, like, you know, since you saw something you can't explain, have you ever had friends who experienced something, like, even more intense where they're, like shaken by it, like you said, like the primal fear from like seeing the lights?
The only thing I've ever heard of has not had to do with UFOs, but had to do with cryptids.
Oh.
I've had 2 friends, one in California and one in Colorado, be like, one was like, I saw a creature that I thought it was a dog, but then when I looked closer, when it turned, it was 2-dimensional.
What?
Yeah, they're like, it was fucked up, and we all saw it, and we ran.
Wow.
And then my other friend was like, I saw the Michigan Dog Man in the Hollywood Hills.
Right. I've heard you talk about the Dog Man before, but it's not a cryptid I had ever heard of.
This was on Coast to Coast, George Norrie.
Mm-hmm.
And It was my best friends. They're a couple. They love doing the same shit as me. Maybe this is a Colorado thing because we're all from Colorado. We love just like walking around at like 2 a.m. places. Just
I would do that. That
just
sounds
like going
fun to
on
me.
walks because it's like, I don't know. It just seems like, makes me feel like mysterious, like a vampire. I don't know. But anyway, they're like, yeah, we were up in the Hollywood Hills. And he's like, I see this dog, but it like has the face of like a man.
Oh no,
like
I don't
it was like
that.
And it like gave me this look, and he's like, it wasn't a dog and it wasn't a man. It was something in between.
It was Dog Man.
And they're like, it definitely was an animal. Like it wasn't a guy in like a furry costume. Like
right.
It was just fucking really weird. And they called it the Michigan Dog Man, but I don't know if that's what it really is. But honestly, other than me, I don't think I've known anybody who has seen like a UFO and like really talked about it. My mom actually had a weird haunting experience, but
I know a lot of people have had haunting experiences.
And it's weird because my mom usually doesn't believe in that stuff. Like she
right.
doesn't believe in ghosts, but she's like, I don't believe in ghosts, but this one time I saw a ghost, and the story was so terrifying that I don't even know if I want to talk about it.
Oh, okay. That's kind of exciting. Okay, so actually, though, the number of Americans who say that they have seen a UFO, it's kind of high. Like, if you had to guess what % of Americans claim they've seen a UFO, what do you think it is?
60%?
Oh my god, that's massive. No, most people, I think most people have seen a UFO. No, it's 10%. It's
okay.
10%. I thought that was really high. I love your enthusiasm, though. You're like, yeah, most of these fuckers are walking around like, I've seen aliens. I love that.
I guess that would make sense if, like, I'm really the only person
I know
who's had, like, a UFO experience that I know personally. I mean,
yeah.
maybe people I know have, but they just, like, don't talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. No, it is 10%. But 1 in 10 is a lot of people, I think. Also, included in that 10% are former U.S. presidents Carter and Reagan.
Whoa.
Right. Jimmy Carter, who's one of the more innocuous ones as far as presidents go. None of them are clean, you know. They got their hands dirty and shit. But Carter, whatever, one of the least of the bad, maybe.
I would say so.
Right. And then Reagan, the worst of the worst, obviously. Yeah, the worst one. So really running the whole political spectrum for the presidents who've seen UFOs. But if you had to guess, like, how many people think that, like, UFOs are a thing that people see, like, people actually see them and they're real and they're out there flying around, flying objects that cannot be easily identified using, like, our current understanding of technology, like, what % of Americans would you guess think it's real, even if they haven't had that encounter themselves?
30%?
Yeah, it's 36%.
Whoa!
In 2012, yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, like, so a little over 1 in 3 people.
Oh.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that they think that everything's an alien spacecraft, right? Could be top secret military projects or something. They just still think there is something going on with things flying in the sky that people aren't naming. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, I personally, I mean, maybe you might debunk this. Like, I personally think that any, like, thing that's, like, a UFO weird in sky is probably just some weird military shit or some weird SpaceX shit.
Yeah, well, yeah, my experience where I was like, it's a UFO, don't say it's a UFO. Is it art? And then no, it was just SpaceX. It was just Elon Musk breaking something in the sky. Something really expensive, I'm sure. But yeah, no, in that 2012 study that said that like 36% of Americans were like, I think people are out here seeing unidentified flying objects for sure. They actually asked like a whole bunch of interesting questions. So one of the questions they asked was, if aliens visited Earth, like, what would you do? So I have their answers, most people's answers, but like, Kenna, if somebody was like, we got aliens, and then you're looking around and you're like, oh yeah, there's aliens here, what would you do?
I don't know. I think it depends on if the aliens are cool or not.
But how do you know?
What if all the aliens are Republicans?
Yeah, I mean, they're out here, they're colonizing.
Yeah, what if they're all, like, colonizer Reaganites, but what if they're all cool, like, Ursula K. Le Guin, like, freaky commie hippies?
Right. I think that I would hide from them.
I think that
I would try to hide.
I think that I would be a little bit, apprehensive, but I would be like, I would probably just check it out and be very mellow and be like, yo, what's up? I come in peace.
I would try to get as far away from where the aliens were landing as possible and, like, go out into the woods and, like, build myself a little underground shelter and, like, a bunker and be like, I don't exist. I don't exist. I'm not here. I'm not here. That would be my approach.
I think I would probably literally just go about my daily life.
Oh, really?
Until, like, it was, like, an Independence Day type of situation.
No, I would be getting away from the city centers immediately because, as I said, Chris and I have the rule that if something seems a little off, you just get out. You just go.
I think that I would probably just stay and, like, go about my business and be like, I'm not gonna see an alien at Target. I'm just gonna go get my stuff. Like,
I don't trust
I'm gonna
that.
get my allergy medicine, some toilet paper.
Everyone loves Target. Even aliens. Okay, well, 25% of Americans said if aliens visited Earth, they would try to befriend them.
Oh.
Well, a quarter of Americans are like, I will be friends with this alien. I will get it to like me. And I really respect that energy for America, honestly. It's very friendly of us.
I feel like I would be neutral and I'd have to see if they were cool or not. But
yeah.
then I'd be like, I would start tripping out and be like, maybe I'm just thinking they're cool on a human level and I don't understand that they're being cool on an alien level.
Because you can't relate to them. You don't know their cultural experience.
So I think more, I would just be interested to be like, I want to know your culture. Like, I want to know what's going on in there. Like,
you try to learn about them.
Or, because it's like, do they speak the language? Like, do we speak their language? Like,
I think they'd speak math. That's the universal language.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, okay, so 25% of Americans said they would try to befriend the aliens. 13% said they do what I would do, lock themselves away, hide away somewhere. To be like, I'm not going out there. So me and the other 13%, that's what we're up to. And 5% said they try to fight them.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, I kind of respected that too, but I was proud that it was less. It was a pretty low percent. Only 5% was like, I'm going to fight this alien.
I think that's a bad idea because you don't know what fucking type of technology they have.
I think the alien would win. I don't think any American could take on an alien.
Well, it'd be funny, though, if aliens invaded Earth and they just had, like, Nerf guns and then they're like, oh, fuck.
Right, like maybe we are the strongest planet somehow.
That would be really, really funny, but also terrible, because then all these dudes would be like, yeah, we're the strongest.
Yeah, it would be like District 9 style. Did you ever see District 9?
Yes.
They're just like, yeah, we're putting the aliens came like seeking refuge, I guess, but yeah, we would be shitty to the aliens.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, maybe it'll just be like kind of like an even match, and we can be buddies. I want to think of it more as like a Guardians of the Galaxy type situation, where it's like you meet a lovable buddy, and maybe there's some things that are different, but also you, as a human, most likely you're not going to win.
No,
you know?
I don't think we're going to win. If they had the technology to get here, there's no way we can win. Their technology is already so much better than ours. If they came to us, they're smarter, they're better than winning.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Because, I don't know, I feel like if the aliens were going around looking for planets to colonize, they might be like, Earth seems kind of shitty. But also, Earth is cool, because we have stuff like waterfalls.
Yeah, our natural beauty might lure them in.
But,
yeah.
But also, maybe there are more beautiful planets. We don't fucking know.
We don't know.
But maybe it's like that thing where I'm like, Earth's number one. Earth's number one.
Yeah, it's very USA of us. Yeah. It's like how I don't like the United States until I go to a hockey game against Canada, and then I'm just like, yeah, USA. I become like a patriot for like an hour. It's really deranged. My boyfriend looks at me like I'm insane. He's just like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, no. This, like, I'm pretty proud of how chill the Americans were responding. They're like, only 5% are going to try to fight them. Good, smart. And this kind of makes sense because 74% of Americans think that UFOs, like the aliens, if they were in UFOs, would be neither friendly nor unfriendly. They'd be neutral in some capacity. They'd just be checking it out. And I was like, that's a really generous assessment of a life form you don't know anything about. That's pretty good. 3/4 of people are like, they're probably not going to hurt us. They're probably not super stoked on us. They're probably just learning shit. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
And even more people believe in aliens specifically in general than, like, the fact that maybe UFOs have traveled to Earth. Like, if you ask somebody, like, do you think UFOs have come to Earth and they had aliens in them? People are more likely to say no to that, but yes to the idea that just aliens are there. That they exist as somewhere else. Yeah. In the universe.
I kind of think that aliens probably just exist somewhere, but it's too weird for us to either comprehend, or they're like, you know, they're like, we found life on the moon, and it's like, there are 3 cells.
Yes,
you know, like,
totally.
Or it might be like things that like, oh, there might be little sea creatures on the rings of, you know, it's like this one, like, moon of Saturn or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Or it just seems like they might be so far away that they wouldn't get here for a long time.
Totally. But if you think that there could be intelligent alien life on planets other than Earth somewhere in the universe, you would be part of 65% of American adults who agree, who think that there's probably intelligent life somewhere in the universe. And you're less, you know, people are less inclined to believe that they're coming and checking us out, though.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, at this point, I would say no, because there hasn't been any evidence to prove that there's, like life that's, like, human-like, that we would understand. So I would probably be like, nah, there's probably, like, some alive things, but I don't think that we'd be able to, like, communicate with them.
Interesting. Well, since 2012, more and more people have started to believe in the existence of life on other planets. Like, remember back in 2012, just 36% of Americans said that they thought UFOs were, like, a real thing people were seeing. By 2021, over half of Americans, the majority of Americans, were starting to say that they thought that UFOs reported by people in the military were evidence, probably, that there was intelligent life outside of Earth.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So not quite the same polling, but just like more people started to be like, well, the military's seeing something, and that's got to mean it's aliens, right? So more people are associating by 2021 this idea of like UFOs with aliens. And yesterday I was watching that movie Contact.
Oh, yes. I believe written by Carl Sagan.
It was written by Carl Sagan. I told you I was watching it we had a picnic, and I told you I was watching it, and you said that. And I was like, no. And then I looked up, and it totally was. It's based on the novel written by Carl Sagan in 1985. But the movie came out in 1997, and it's got, like, Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. And I remember watching it being like, this feels pretty accurate to what would probably happen if we made contact with another species in terms of, like, every part of the movie that deals with how the government gets involved, science gets involved, the military gets involved, and it's just like a pretty good movie. You know, the alien part's a little cheesy when they finally like go to the alien planet. You're like, whatever. It looks like Pensacola, Florida. It's like part of the plot line. I don't really get it. It's like fine. But everything else when they're like, yeah, it's like these passionate scientists are trying to find like evidence of some sort of life outside of Earth, dedicate their lives to it. And nobody cares about them. Nobody will fund it. Nobody wants anything to do with it. And the second they get contact from somebody, then all of a sudden the government wants to take it over. The military wants to take it over. And then you have these people who are vying for, like, who will be the representative of Earth to talk to these aliens. And it's, like, this battle between, like, the church and the government and science. And I'm like, this part feels actually pretty realistic. So whatever, I was watching Contact, and I was like, yeah, this feels like how it would go. And then I started thinking about, like, the military and aliens and the X-Files and George Norrie, Coast to Coast, actually.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. And I got on this whole kick, and I decided, yeah, that today's episode was indeed going to be all about aliens.
Cool.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something you touched on, Kenna, which is, like, the science of the aliens. Like, what are a lot of scientists thinking? Like, is up with the aliens? Are they out there? If they are, how smart are they? How not smart are they? Would we ever be able to contact them? And it's true that people have claimed to see, like, extraterrestrials and their crafts for thousands of years. Like, 2,000 years ago, like, Roman civilization was like, we're seeing these things. And, you know, obviously there's a whole ancient aliens thing, right?
You know what's funny? I used to put on Ancient Aliens, not because I literally thought it was true, but something about that show instantly puts me to sleep.
Oh, yeah. It used to put me to sleep, too. I'd watch it before bed.
I've never seen an entire episode. In fact, it's hard for me to even make it through, like, 1 minute. There's something about the beginning, and then they're like, in the past, there may have been aliens. It's just the cadence, and it's like ambient action noises a little bit.
It is, yeah.
There's something about it that just knocks me the fuck out.
My favorite thing about Ancient Aliens is that everything they say starts with, could it be that? And then they just give you some, like, off-the-wall shit, and you're like, I mean, I guess it could be. It probably isn't. But they're like, could it be that aliens came to Earth in this tiny, tiny peanut? And then they invented the circus. And now when you go to the circus, the elephants came. You know, you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? I guess it's possible. But the way they say it is, like, so convincing. And I also, like, watched this with my boyfriend. He had never seen it before. And he accidentally got too high. And he looked at me at one moment. He's like, is this real? And I was like, no, I don't think this is real, babe. No. And a lot of it just ends up being like weird coded racism. They're like, there's no way people in Africa could have built this. And people are like, no, literally people in Africa just built this. And the show's like, no, it's gotta be aliens.
Oh,
sorry.
my God. Yeah.
It's just weird racism.
It's like, I feel like all these conspiracy theories end in racism, anti-Semitism, and like some weird misogyny shit.
Yeah, totally. But, you know, most scientists are highly skeptical that any of these sightings have been valid throughout history, obviously. I do have to say most scientists, not all, because we got some wacky ones thrown in the mix. We got some wacky scientists who are like, maybe they did. I don't know.
I love that, like, the premise is you can't prove a negative. And they're like, but can you?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that's fun. Like, that's the thing that, like, my friend David says that sometimes things are wrong in an interesting way. And I like that. I like that as an idea. But there's this like astrophysicist who works today and is, I think maybe like the head of like a coalition of black astrophysicists, which is really cool. And he kind of talks about like the science and probability of aliens a lot, but in a way that's not too zany. And I like him. His name's Hakeem Olusei. So he said, like other astrophysicists who waited on these sightings, like that people have claimed to see, you know, he goes, I'm skeptical of their extraterrestrial origins. I am confident, however, that intelligent life forms inhabit planets elsewhere in the universe. Math and physics point to this likely conclusion.
Yeah, I would just think, like, statistically, with the universe being, like, so big, there would have to be, like, at least one other one, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what he talks about. So Olusei says that scientists are starting to map the universe, right? So what they're finding is that the cosmos is obviously massive, like way, way bigger than we ever thought it could have been. Even just like 100 years when we were talking about what was going on in space. Like we never could have guessed how huge it is. And the universe is home to an estimated 100 billion trillion stars.
Whoa.
Which is just a number so huge, like there's no way my brain could even begin to comprehend that.
No, I can't even comprehend $1 million.
I can't comprehend a billion. Like you've seen those like videos, I'm sure, on like TikTok or Twitter, where somebody will be like, this grain of rice represents like $10,000. Here's what $1 million looks like. Here's what $1 billion looks like. And it's just like massively huge. Like, yeah, so this is 100 billion trillion. And there's no way I can even begin to imagine that. But most of these stars in this 100 billion trillion stars, most of them have planets, right? Plural, multiple planets revolving around each star.
Wow.
Right. So we have a lot of planets that we know exist in the universe. And we also know that astrobiologists are pretty sure, like you said, Kenna, that simple life, which would be just like individual cells or small multicellular organisms, that those are found throughout the universe. Scientists, astrobiologists are like, yeah, you can find these little 1-cell organisms, or like you said, these like little maybe 3-cell things pretty regularly. But human-like technologically advanced life forms, they would require more than these simple life forms do. And that's where you start to get into like, what's the probability that they're out there existing? So creatures like us need solar energy, right? That's the sun's light. And that's because photosynthesis creates oxygen, and complex life forms we think would probably need oxygen. And that means that our planet, you know, it's the right distance from the sun. You talk about this a lot. Like in science, I'll talk about like the Goldilocks phenomenon, where you're like not so close to the sun that you're hot and burning and nothing can survive, but not so far that it's like cold and desolate and nothing can survive. So you need to be like this good distance like we are from the sun to sustain life. And you also need a transparent atmosphere because that's going to allow visible light to enter.
Oh.
Right. Because the visible light that enters, then it'll help with photosynthesis, and then it'll create oxygen, blah, 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 blah. And the visible light to enter the atmosphere thing is actually also really rare, which is wild because I'd never heard anybody talk about this. But most planets will have atmospheres so thick that it actually absorbs light from the nearby star before it reaches the surface.
Whoa, I did not know this.
Yeah, like Venus is an example of that.
Oh.
And then sometimes some planets have no atmosphere at all, like Mercury.
Oh.
Right.
Wow.
So Olusei explains, like, Earth maintains a thin atmosphere because it spins quickly and it has a liquid iron core. And these are conditions that lead to our strong and protective magnetic field. And this magnetosphere in the region above the ionosphere shields all life on Earth and its atmosphere from damaging solar winds and the corrosive effects of solar radiation. That combination of planetary conditions is difficult to replicate. So what he's saying is, like, yeah, we've got all these stars, they've got planets circulating around them, but we do have a lot of special things that just are more conducive to complex life forming, and they are pretty difficult to replicate, right? But difficult doesn't mean impossible. It just means difficult. So beginning in the early 1960s, scientists started trying to calculate the odds of advanced life like us being found on other planets. So in 1961, researchers at the NASA-funded Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, which is SETI, SETI.
Oh,
Have you
SETI.
seen it? Yeah, SETI.
Don't they mention that in Contact?
They do. I think Jodie Foster works at SETI. I think that's like
how
her
do
job.
I remember this? I don't remember shit. But I can remember some random, like, sci-fi movie from, like, middle school.
It was a pretty good movie. I was into it. So yeah, they developed the Drake equation. Have you heard of this?
Is it, sorry, I was trying to make a Drake joke and then
Yeah, I know.
Oh, we started from the bottom, now we're here.
No, that is not the Drake equation. That's a Drake equation, I guess. I like the Drake equation that's like, I got a really big team, need some really nice things, you know? I like that one. It's like how many people, how many rings, how many nice things. That would be my Drake joke. Anyway, so they started this to estimate how many civilizations in the Milky Way might evolve to develop the technology necessary to emit detectable radio waves. So just kind of meaning like intelligent life that's out there making radio waves that we could pick up on in space. And that would be like a way of communicating so we could make contact, right? And the Drake equation multiplies together 7 different factors. So it includes the formation rate of stars like our sun, the fraction of Earth-like planets, and the fraction of those on which life develops. And then Drake himself, he was just like this American radio astronomer. He estimated the final number of communicating civilizations in the galaxy would probably be around 10,000. And then in 2001, an updated estimate came up with a figure of like hundreds of thousands potentially in our galaxy. And these estimates of potential life on other planets, they rely on the advancement of space-based technologies. That's why they change. People are changing them all the time based on like new info we get. And at MIT, Sarah Seeger has like a team, and they've been using things like the Kepler Space Telescope, which launched in 2009, and the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, which launched in 2018, to observe these planets outside of our solar system, which are kind of called exoplanets, right? So, since scientists discovered the first planet outside of our solar system, which was in 1995, which happened to be orbiting Pegasus 51, which is 50 light years from Earth. That would be Pegasus 51 would be the star like its sun, right? They've also found since then, since the first one back then, more than 4,000 additional planets, right? Just in our galaxy alone. So our galaxy is obviously one of many in the universe. There's at least 2 trillion other galaxies that we know of. And now we even have these multiverse theories that suggest like there could be more than one universe that these galaxies exist in as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
it's like Doctor Strange.
Yes, it is the multiverse theory of Doctor Strange. Exactly. So basically as our technology advances, we learn more about what's going on in space, and then we're like, oh, we got to adjust the probability that planets like ours exist that could sustain life, and these numbers kind of fluctuate around. And it is true that other planets could potentially sustain life in a way that we can't even begin to imagine, right? Like, what if you have these life forms who don't need sun and like, or oxygen or photosynthesis, and they literally like live inside of a rock and their body is half rock? Like, you don't know. We don't know, right? In the 1970s, this theoretical physicist Brandon Carter said humans as a species that live on a planet where life has emerged, we cannot make objective inferences about the possibility that life may be present in other worlds, in part just because we have no idea if Earth is typical of planets that might host life.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is something you talked about early on when we were talking about the episode in the intro.
Yeah, because we could just be using our little Earth brains when we don't have rock brains. How are we going to understand the rock people?
Right. We have no idea. But then this guy, Daniel Whitmire, who's an astrophysicist who teaches mathematics at the University of Arkansas, developed recently a mathematics-based counter-argument that says, actually, knowing that Earth sustains life might be super relevant in our calculation attempts to see how many other places can sustain life, because this is the only one we know for sure can. So it's like the starting off point. So this is kind of a back and forth that scientists have been having. So today, astrophysicists guess that each galaxy could potentially have as few as 1 or 2 planets hospitable to the evolution of technologically advanced civilizations, like human life forms like us, not humans, but similar to us, which is way less than the Drake equation figure of 10,000 per galaxy. But that means that even if we were alone in the Milky Way, like we're the only ones in our galaxy, we might be just one of 2 to 4 trillion planets with advanced life forms on them in the entire universe.
Whoa.
So that's the low estimate. Like, let's say there's just one of us in every galaxy. We know there's 2 trillion galaxies.
Whoa.
Right? So that is a lot of potential for alien life, even by super conservative estimates. But there's not a lot of potential for that life to meet us, like you were saying, Kenna. Right, so traveling by spaceship to our closest intergalactic neighbor, which would be the Canis Major dwarf, that would take almost 750 million years with our current technology.
Yeah, because I learned this in physics class, because basically, like, the closer you go to the speed of light, like, shit gets really weird, so it can take, like, you basically have to get to some place in a time manner that would be a human lifespan. Like, if you want to get to a place in, like, a year, you'd basically have to go faster than the speed of light, which you can't do.
Exactly. Yeah. Even sending radio signals, which move close to the speed of light, and the speed of light is the fastest theoretical speed possible to travel that we know of with our human comprehension of science today. Even radio signals would take 25,000 years to reach our closest neighboring galaxy. So that means that if there was intelligent life in our closest neighboring galaxy and we sent them a message, we would all be so long dead by the time they received it. And then by the time we received their reply back, 50,000 years would have passed, which is 1/6 of the total time that Homo sapiens have existed on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah, so 1/6 of all of human history would be how long it took us to send a message and get a reply.
Wow.
To the closest one. So that's why it's kind of like, are we really going to be able to talk to these people? Are we going to be able to make contact? Right? Yeah. It's pretty hard. So we have, though, for the past 100 years, been trying to get started on this communication process. Like, we've been emitting radio signals into space, hoping to start a conversation with these neighboring potential species. But it's the beginning of a process that's going to take an extremely long time if it ever pays off at all. So far, we've had a few pings, maybe, communication-wise, and we're like, that's interesting and worth looking into. One involved SETI, right? So in February 2003, SETI astronomers used this huge telescope in Puerto Rico to re-examine 200 sections of the sky that had all previously shown some unexplained radio signals going on. So these signals had all disappeared by the time they went back to try to check it out, except for one. And one had actually become stronger.
Whoa.
Yeah. That signal, widely thought to be the best candidate ever for alien contact, comes from a spot between the constellations of Pisces and Aries. We know this from our astrology episode, actually, that the sky is divided up by the constellations. Yeah.
I wonder what signs the aliens are.
Oh, that's a good question.
Because they would have different astrology, so they'd have alien astrology.
That's something you could ask them when you try to befriend them.
They're like, what's your sign?
Yeah, and you're like, I don't even know the options.
They're like, I have quagmire in septum.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so in this place where this signal was coming from, there are no stars or planets that we can see.
Whoa.
We're not seeing them. So the signal is at one of the frequencies that hydrogen absorbs and emits energy from, and that is the most common element. So it could be kind of like a math science way of communicating.
Whoa.
Yeah, but also some astronomers are like, this could be a frequency at which aliens would wish to be noticing. They would transmit it because it is a universal kind of way of communicating intelligence. But also it could just be that the signal is from some sort of never before seen natural phenomenon. We don't know. So there used to be, for example, in 1967, this unexplained pulsed radio signal, and everyone's like, what is this? And it turned out to be the first sighting ever of a pulsar. We didn't know pulsars existed, and that's just a space phenomenon. So it could go either way. But Olusei says that the results of all of this information that scientists have about the probability of life on other planets, he's like, look, there is a high statistical likelihood of intelligent life forms having evolved elsewhere in the universe, but a very low probability that we will be able to communicate or interact with them.
Yeah, that is what I feel.
Exactly. It's exactly the Kenna theory. And he summarizes it like this. I think we're unlikely to be able to communicate or interact with them, at least in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Not impossible forever, but just in our lifetimes, we're probably not going to get invaded by aliens, be talking to aliens, build friendships with aliens, try to fight the aliens, and I won't probably have to go dig a weird bunker in the middle of the wilderness and hide from aliens.
And I probably won't befriend a cool alien who teaches me how to love.
No, I don't think you will. Yeah, I don't think the aliens are going to save us from capitalism. And if they do, it's especially not in our lifetime. That's what's going on.
Unfortunately.
So, if it's not super probable that we're encountering aliens all the time, why do so many people think they're seeing UFOs?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that weird thing, but who knows?
Well, I think I have an answer.
You're like, it was a paper lantern.
No. I think I have an answer that's, like, actually backed with, like, data.
Oh.
Not just a theory. Like, the reason why so many people think they're seeing UFOs is because of the CIA.
Whoa! Oh, your favorite topic.
Oh, I know. When I started this episode, I was like, there's no way this is going to be an anti-communism CIA conspiracy episode. Boy, was I wrong.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Imagine my delight to do the research and be like, no.
Or my second theory after, that I was going to say is the popularity of Men in Black.
Well, it all ties in together. Okay. So, the answer to why so many people think they've seen UFOs is indeed the CIA's ongoing effort to uphold capitalism abroad and fight socialism. Because it's always that.
It's like Scooby-Doo, you take off the mask, and it's like the CIA fighting socialism and communism.
And then the other one is eugenics and racism. Those are the two bad guys for everything.
And they're married.
And they kiss. Yeah, exactly.
They kiss.
Yeah. That's what's going on. I mean, also maybe some of the sightings are just like random natural occurrences, but in full, more than 95% of all UFO sightings have been like studied and easily dismissed as military aircraft, stars, planets, meteors, flares, or weather balloons or man-made hoaxes. And if you're like, how does the CIA play into that? I'm gonna get there. So lots of these like military UFO reports in particular, like when military people are like, I think I saw a UFO. Have you seen this? Yeah. A lot of those are just like spy technology or literally airborne trash.
Whoa.
Because we're just, like, leaving trash in space all the time.
Oh, my God. Like, there is so much... Okay, after going abroad for the first time, I am, like, now shocked at how much trash there is here.
Yeah, we're trashy people. We're a trashy folk here in the U.S.
But I think people don't want to. I think people are just like, why? There's just trash everywhere all the time.
I mean, one thing that I even noticed about, like, moving from a walkable city, San Francisco, to a not walkable city, Los Angeles, one of the first things I noticed is I was like, there are no trash cans on the street here. There's nowhere to throw trash.
No, like, I mean, okay, here's the thing. In Japan, there were no trash cans on the street, but that's because you take it home and recycle it.
Oh, and they have the good recycling programs.
And because it's, like, not as much of a culture of taking stuff to go. Usually you just eat or drink stuff there.
Oh, that's a thing that people in other countries say they can always tell an American on the street because they're traveling with a food or beverage.
Oh my gosh. I actually had a British friend who she saw me walking down the street. This was in Portland. I was just eating an apple. I also have hypoglycemia, so I really needed a snack. So I was walking down the street eating an apple, and she roasted me for like a week, be like, I can't believe I saw you walking outside eating an apple. And I was like, okay.
No, this is something I noticed when I was in Europe too. They're just like, whoa, this is weird. And I'm like, oh, I had no idea. Culture's so interesting. Imagine where the aliens will eat.
Subway.
Because there are more subways on the planet than anywhere else. Statistically probable. So most of these reported UFO sightings, from military people, they actually have been confirmed also to just be like ordinary drone technology. And UFO skeptics and experts in like optics have also been saying from the jump of all these sightings that lots of these videos or photos by naval aviators represent optical illusions that will make, really boring ordinary objects like weather balloons, commercial drones appear to move faster than they actually do. And this is why so many people are like, what the fuck am I looking at? But it's just like, shit gets weird up in the sky, man. You don't have a lot of good reference points and everything feels wacky. But a lot of scientists are able to explain this, obviously, with math and data. But you know that famous Roswell crash, obviously, right? That's like the most famous alien thing in U.S. history.
Oh, actually, I read a book about this.
Did you?
And I'll let you say the theory first, but I'm going to tell you what the book that I read said.
Okay, well, this isn't even a theory. This is something that was released as categorically true in 1994. So, in the summer of 1947, there was famously thought to be something that crashed at Roswell, and everyone thought it was aliens and a UFO. And then during COVID, everyone lost their minds and decided to raid Area 51. Do you remember that? And so everybody is just like, aliens in Roswell, blah, blah, blah. But apparently what it really was a top secret U.S. military balloon that was developed under Project Mogul to spy on the Soviet nuclear program.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and this info became declassified in 1994. But the U.S. military intentionally only gave incomplete accounts of what was happening in between 1947 and 1994 when these documents became declassified because, they did not want to get caught spying on the USSR.
Yeah.
So after the Cold War, some Air Force reports finally were released. This data was finally, kind of came out. And, the USSR fell in the early 90s. So after the USSR fell, they were like, okay, fine. Roswell was us. We were trying to build a weird spy thing to check out what the Soviet Union was doing. And all of that was released about that and other military experiments near Roswell. So we have proper documentation of what was going on that the government was talking about at the time in secrecy that now is public and released. And a lot of the stuff that we find out about this UFO kind of sightings and technology is, yes, just more secret military shenanigans. And a lot of it, was done specifically to uphold capitalism and try to stop the spread of socialism and communism abroad, which is why the CIA has their little hands all up in it, because that's their main thing. That's their whole shebang. That's what they do. They stop the socialism. So it's no coincidence that the first wave of U.S. reports about flying saucers, when did they happen? The 1940s, late 1940s, the 1950s, the 1960s.
The Red Scare.
This is this whole atomic age, and yes, it is also the time of the Red Scare. It all coincided with Cold War confrontation between the capitalist United States and the Marxist-Leninist Soviet Union. So because of this, the first report about a flying saucer over the United States came on June 24th in 1947. This is when Kenneth Arnold, who was a private pilot and this really reputable businessman, everyone respected him, he was looking for a downed plane that he thought he saw go into maybe the woods or something. He was searching for it, and instead he said that he found 9 disc-shaped objects near Mount Rainier, Washington, which are traveling at an estimated speed of over 1,000 miles per hour. So Kenneth Arnold's report was followed by a flood of additional sightings, and people started from this point on just being like, I'm seeing all sorts of weird shit in the sky. And this included, yes, reports from military, but also reports from civilian pilots or air traffic controllers all over the United States. Alien visitation, though, just became kind of this, helpful way for the United States government to explain anything that they didn't want to have to come public about when they were caught red-handed doing weird experimental air shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of it also was, developed near Roswell and in Nevada's Area 51 because the Air Force and the CIA were developing reconnaissance programs there intended to look deep into the Soviet Union covertly.
Yeah, that's basically the book that I kind of read. That I got most of the way through it, but I also just stopped and my memory is terrible. But they're it was just some USSR spy bullshit.
It was all this. And if you're wondering how direct this correlation between the U.S. military efforts against the USSR and the increased number of UFO sightings truly were, how much did this really account for it? One internal CIA assessment from the time found that roughly half of all UFO sightings in the 1950s and 60s could be attributed to just 2 top-secret programs alone. Test flights of the U-2 reconnaissance plane and the A-12 aircraft, which is the predecessor of the SR-71 Blackbird. Which, fun random note, SR-71 was a pop-punk band from the late 90s and early 2000s. I
did not know that.
Named after the plane, yes. And they had a hit called Right Now.
Oh, interesting.
So maybe we'll post that music video on our Patreon. Anyway, early CIA documents show that all of these alien claims were super useful while the CIA and the Pentagon and the military were all trying to test top secret military technology. But they also kind of got the agency worrying that the American public was getting way too into this UFO thing. So they were kind of thinking that if the American public continued to be obsessed with aliens throughout the 1950s, it actually could make us vulnerable to Russian disinformation efforts and even attacks. Because they're like, yeah, it was aliens. It definitely wasn't us. That's so weird. We're totally going to look into this whole alien thing. Wow, that's super scary. It's definitely not anything we're doing to the USSR. But oh shit, if the USSR actually, like, attacked the United States, would people just think it was aliens? And then there's just like a real internal document. They were like, how far are we supposed to take this whole alien thing? Because people are really getting into it. Like, is this good for us? Is this bad for us? We don't really know. The CIA also started worrying that the KGB would try to penetrate these like UFO enthusiast groups, like the ufologists, because the ufologists were like really pressuring the US government. This is like real X-Files, the truth is out there groups, you know, who are like, no, we want to know the truth about these UFOs. And the CIA was like, yeah, these like American citizens who are ufologists are like really putting the pressure on. What if they got infiltrated by like secret Russian operatives, and then all of a sudden secret Russian operatives are pushing to get information about US military technology?
Whoa.
Through the guise of these UFO groups.
I wonder how many like you know that TV show, I want to say The Russians, or that where it's like in the 1980s where this family, like, you know, suburban family, they're actually all Russian spies.
Yeah,
like,
I definitely have seen. There was like a news story actually within the past 10 years of like sleeper Russian spies left over from the Cold War in the United States. Do you remember this?
No.
Yeah, it came out, but it's just like really hard to trust anything the US military tells me about Russia ever, like historically or now, or like the US media even. I just really have this strong suspicion of anybody the United States tries to tell me is my enemy. I'm like, are they? I don't know.
I just feel like anything that filters down to like pop culture is probably wrong. Like anything that's like you know, like CSI, for example.
Yes.
Like it creates this idea that cops are really trying to solve these crimes, and they have crime labs, and they have these DNA databases they look at, and they care about each individual crime, and they solve it even if it's complicated. I'm like, that isn't real.
No,
that's not true.
That's real. No, yeah. So that would be interesting. It would be interesting to actually do an episode about like the KGB and see like what spy stuff actually did happen.
Yeah. Ooh.
But anyway, this 1997 historical study by the CIA, when they were looking into like, did we do a bad thing by making people think aliens were real because we didn't want the Soviet Union to know about our super secret military technology we were going to use against them? When they did this study, they found that all of the deception regarding secret anti-Soviet technology, quote, added fuel to the later conspiracy theories. So they were like, yeah, we created some conspiracy theories out of this.
Whoopsies.
And this is really interesting because the CIA, like mainstream pop culture, right? You want to talk about that? It's like Men in Black shit, right?
Yeah.
It's like we know there's like secret government guys dealing with aliens, but we think that they're keeping secrets about the real existence of aliens from us. Not the other way around. They're keeping secrets about aliens being fake from us. Yeah. So
I also like the idea they're really just bureaucrats. They're like, we're doing all this secret paperwork. And it's just like, oh my God. Yeah, it's like the secret paperwork is aliens are not only don't exist, they're boring.
Yeah, I mean, also, though, that ties in with, like, the military shit because it ties in with, like, Raytheon. Like, some of these planes were straight up Raytheon planes, you know? So there's the private defense contractors and the military and the CIA all working together. So the CIA, was concealing information about UFOs, just like the public suspected. But, the information they were concealing was not that UFOs were full of space aliens visiting Earth. It was that the UFOs were mostly just our own technology that we planned on using to stop the spread of socialism and communism abroad. And for a long time, the CIA intentionally leaned into the confusion between those 2 points, the myth and, like, the reality. And they would often be like, oh my God, you guys are seeing a lot of UFOs. Wow, that's so weird. I wonder if they're aliens or if maybe they're Russians. Maybe they're Russian crowd. We'll look into this. We'll see. Oh, and they would, like, sometimes even release, like, fake reports to the public about like, that was maybe alien. I don't know. It could have been, to try to like throw the public off their trail. And they knew that, it was adding fuel to all these alien conspiracies like they talked about. But it also did continue to allow them to cover their military equipment tests until, yes, it turned out that they did too good of a job of this and this whole UFO thing just got a bit out of hand. And when the Air Force, who was the branch that was publicly responsible for explaining these random quote-unquote UFO sightings, they would clumsily explain their way through this by just being like, oh, it's weather patterns. Oh, I don't know. It's a balloon. They would do this in an effort to damage control when the UFO mania grew so big that it was difficult to contain, and they realized it might actually be counterproductive to the CIA's attempts to influence the American public. So once you started seeing these really bad explanations that are like weather patterns, where you're like, that doesn't fucking make sense. That was a real flying craft. People saw it. That's because they were trying to do all the extra damage control walking back. Super interesting, right? Yeah, and this is pretty wild when you think about it, because not only is it, like, actually a conspiracy, like, it's highly conspiratorial, but, yeah, like you said, Kenna, it is also just, like, really boring, because you have this dark comedy of highly effective errors about something that should be super interesting, extraterrestrial life, and they just ended up making it this really, awkward, bureaucratic, paper-pushing thing.
Yeah, I just think about the constant banality of evil. Like, I think that people literally think that evil is like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. And evil isn't just some bureaucrat being like, I'm going to make the paperwork for welfare be so difficult that no poor person can get on any social service.
Right. Or I'm going to invest so much money in my friend's military company that I'm going to buy all these super secret planes so that we can fly them secretly over these socialist countries and try to get intel so we can destroy them, so that the American public doesn't think socialism is a good idea and they think that it fails everywhere, and then they'll continue to go to work to uphold capitalism and make their bosses richer while they stay poor.
Yeah, that's a boring conspiracy. People want the reptiles.
People want the Komodo dragon in the middle of the street who was flying a spaceship from his home planet. But yeah, this whole thing where you're just like the dark comedy of highly effective errors, that's kind of the CIA's like whole deal. That's kind of how they do everything.
It's really more like Get Smart.
Yeah, but it's like weird how it actually in a lot of ways works really well, even though they bumble through it.
So it's like the Pink Panther.
It's like the Pink Panther, yes. So in the 1950s, there was this Dr. Leon Davidson. He was a chemical engineer, but he was also really interested in this whole UFO thing as it was starting up. And he was pretty skeptical. He was like, this feels like some weird government shit. He just like felt like that was what was going on. So he worked alongside a couple of other experts for years to try to figure out what the CIA's actual involvement in UFOs was. And honestly, this group was so effective. They were very intelligent and they did not let up. And they terrified the agency. They had these really direct questions they would ask in public forums. They were very pointed. They would file reports. They would, petition the government to look into things. And this even led to the CIA releasing sanitized fake versions of reports and records of what they were doing at the time. Because these, like, 3 scientists basically just kept demanding this shit. They were like, no, you're going to tell us. Like, you have to know. We have to know. The American public has to know. So by the 1960s, Dr. Leon Davidson was just over it, and he'd done so much work looking into this, and he concluded, this is a direct quote from him, the CIA was solely responsible for creating the flying saucer Führer as a tool for Cold War psychological warfare.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some psyops.
Some psyop shit. And this does account, for 95% of all reported UFO sightings.
Wow.
This combined with weather patterns. But what about the remaining 5%?
I was just about to say that.
Right? Some sightings to this day were witnessed by so many people that it's impossible to deny that something happened. But there are a few for which no potential explanations have emerged. So I thought, since it is an episode about aliens, we could have a little fun with the whole alien thing and talk about some of the sightings that have not yet been explained away, even if science tells us that there's a slim to no chance that it actually was aliens. So, like Fox Mulder says, I want to believe. So we're going to look at some of the most credible UFO sightings from the lens of someone who wants to believe, even though we know it was probably, some CIA psyop shit.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun to pretend.
It's fun to pretend. Let's just see what's going on. So the first one happened in 1966 at the Westall High School in Melbourne, Australia. Have you heard about this one?
No.
I had never heard of this either. So this happened at 11 a.m. on April 6, 1966. And this was not in the United States, obviously. So this could be their military shit. This could be the U.S. just flying the planes too far. Who knows what's going on here, right? But more than 200 students and several teachers saw a UFO hovering around the school for approximately 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, right? 200 students and teachers. And it was a gray saucer-shaped object, they said, and it was around twice the size of like a family car. 2 Toyota Corollas up there in the sky. Yeah. And then it just descended into a nearby field. So at the time, they were like, are there planes that are supposed to be here? Are there aircrafts? But when they looked into it, there were no commercial, private, or Royal Australian Air Force planes in the area. So local people were like, it was probably just a weird-ass weather balloon, which sounds like cheesy because they say it in Mission Impossible all the time. They're like, it was a weather balloon, and everyone makes fun of it. But a lot of this shit actually could have just been, weird-ass weather balloons.
Huh.
Yeah. So they're like, maybe it was just a weird weather balloon that confused people. But eyewitnesses were like, no, there's no way this was a weather balloon. And I always think this is so funny because if someone was like, that's a weather balloon and pointed to something, I would have no way of confirming. I do not know what a weather balloon looks like.
I don't know what a weather balloon.
You should look it up.
I'm going to look up what a weather balloon fucking looks like.
And then we'll describe it. But the Australian Skeptics Society suggested that the object was probably, an experimental military craft similar to the nylon target drogues that were towed by RAAF planes at the time. But the Air Force there in Australia was like, no, we weren't there. We weren't up to anything. So apparently in Australia, they got their own gripes with their military and secret planes too. Because the skeptics were like, I don't know about that. You guys are probably up to some weird secret airplane shit over there. Did you find a weather balloon?
Yeah. Okay. So in the regular atmosphere, they literally just look like a big white balloon.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from space, it does have a saucer-like shape to it.
It does. These pictures do look kind of saucery.
Yeah, like if you look at the ones that are like further up in the atmosphere. Oh, great! Now
it's a sphere, so if you're under it, it could look flat like a disc.
Exactly. Yeah.
And especially if there's like the visual effects of like, because you know how the atmosphere's curved.
Yes.
It could flatten and distort your view. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I could definitely see how people could think it was a saucer if it was far enough up in the sky, for sure.
Okay, so another really interesting one happened the year after this, and this was 1967, and it was in Shag Harbor in Nova Scotia, which is a great name, Shag Harbor.
Austin Powers would love it.
Would love it. So this is October 4th, 1967. An unknown object crashed into the water near this tiny fishing village called Shag Harbor. And at least 11 people saw the object, like, descend towards the harbor, and many, many witnesses heard a whistling sound and a loud bang. So Laurie Wickens and 4 of his friends saw this large object floating in the Atlantic Ocean about 1,000 feet from shore after this happened. They contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Navy, and the Royal Canadian Air Force all got involved. They were like, we're going to recover whatever this was. But they combed the seafloor of the Gulf of Maine, and they could not find any trace of this object. So then we're going to jump ahead a few years. We're going to get to 1980. In 1980, we had the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Ooh.
So this was December 26, 1980. Rendlesham Forest is in England, and it's near the Royal Air Force Station in Woodbridge. And you'll start to see these, even the more credible, in quotes, ones, they tend to happen next to military bases.
Yeah, it seems like there's a pattern of
a correlation, if you will.
There might be a coincidence.
A conspiracy? So several Air Force personnel, including Lieutenant Colonel Charles L. Halt, witnessed these unexplained lights in the sky. And personnel went into the woods because they're like, maybe these lights were a plane that crashed into the woods because they just kind of disappeared. So instead, according to Halt's memo, they saw a glowing metallic object that moved at a really fast speed through the forest. The next day, servicemen returned to the site and they found triangular-shaped impressions on the ground, as well as broken branches on the trees and radiation readings that were 10 times the normal background level.
Whoa.
Yeah, and in 2010, retired Lieutenant Halt signed a notarized affidavit that summarized the incident and accused the United States and England working together for some sort of cover-up.
Wow.
So this still could be, even in other countries, the U.S. military fucking around. So some are like, maybe it was a hoax. Some people were like, maybe it was like a Soviet satellite that fell from space. Other people are like, no, it was aliens. But this guy's like, I think the United States and England were covering up some weird military ship. So that same year, that same month, 3 days later, we had the Cash Landrum incident here in the United States.
Ooh, what's that?
So this was December 29th, 1980 in Dayton, Ohio. We had Betty Cash, Vicki Landrum, and Colby Landrum. These three people saw 23 unidentified helicopters surrounding what they described as a huge diamond-shaped object hovering above the trees in the sky.
Whoa.
Yeah, and the object emitted, like, a ton of heat. They said they got out of the car, the outside of their car was painful to touch, and a handprint was seared into the vinyl interior of the car. That's how hot it was.
Whoa.
Yeah. And a Dayton police officer, Detective Lamar Walker, and his wife also saw these same helicopters in the same area. So this was corroborated by a different group of people as well that they did not know. And after the incident, the group of three, Betty Cash, Vicki Landrum, and Colby Landrum, they all suffered from vomiting, diarrhea, and burning sensations all over their body.
Ooh, to me that sounds like radiation poisoning.
Oh, yeah, you are correct. Betty Cash also developed painful blisters on her skin, lost clumps of hair, and was unable to walk. And yes, a radiologist examined the group and concluded that they were all suffering from secondary damage from ionizing radiation.
Whoa.
Yes. So this could have been an experimental kind of military aircraft as well.
Damn, that is like...
They
It's
also
fucking wild because it's like you just expose people to fucking like radiation.
And the group tried to sue the U.S. government because they thought the U.S. government was up to it, and the case was dropped, I think, in 1986.
Oh, because they were like, show us your proof, and they're like, well, the CIA has to show us their files, and they're like, can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my guess, anyway.
Yeah. So then, a couple years later, we kind of have another, like, huge kind of onslaught of sightings. So this is from 1982 to 1986, and a lot of these happen around Hudson Valley, which is just an hour north of New York City. So this goes over 5 years, and in this time period, around 5,000 eyewitnesses reported seeing these V-shaped UFOs with multicolored lights flying through the sky.
Cool. Party copters.
Party aliens. And the first sighting was made on New Year's Eve in 1982 by a retired police officer in Kent, New York, who initially thought, like, I'm watching a weird airplane, but then was like, no, this is moving really slow and quiet. It's not any airplane I know. And you'll see a lot of the more, like, credible sources that people provide are usually, like, law enforcement, like cops or
I was gonna
military.
be like, why are so many cops seeing, like, UFOs?
I think it's some sort of, like, reporting bias, though. I think that, like, in the media, people are like, why would a cop lie? You know, which is just like, have you met a cop? Like, what? When has a cop told the truth? But I think for average people, they're like, wow, I trust it more because it's coming from an authority figure. So I think that's why you see this kind of, like, cop military bias happening a lot in these reports of UFO sightings. But also, again, the military thing, it's like proximity to Air Force bases probably has something to do with the mysterious aircrafts you see flying through the sky. So it's just this weird kind of thing. It's very law enforcement oriented. But most of the other eyewitnesses who were not cops also described seeing a slow-moving V-shaped UFO. And other reports said, you know, I saw something circular that was moving really fast. I saw something totally disappear. That's how fast it moved. During one sighting, though, a UFO hovered about 30 feet above the Indian Point nuclear power plant. And the person who was doing security there was like, holy shit, this thing's gonna blow up the nuclear power plant. Should I shoot it down?
Oh my god!
And he was like, I don't know what to do. He did not shoot it down. He was
I'm like,
like,
that's like a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you should not try to explode anything by a nuclear power plant.
I mean, it's just a security guard, so he's like, what am I supposed to do? But no, he didn't, and the thing disappeared, and that's why we didn't have a nuclear meltdown.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So after these kind of came to an end, 1986, November 18th, in Anchorage, Alaska, a Boeing 747 cargo aircraft was followed for nearly an hour by unidentified flying objects. And crews on the Boeing 747, crew members witnessed two objects following them. And as they got closer to the plane, the cabin ended up getting lit up and filled with a strange heat, which sounds like the people who were like, everything was so hot. Oh my gosh, yeah. And then the objects flew away, and they said a much larger disc-shaped craft emerged and followed the plane for a while after the two little guys disappeared.
Whoa.
So Captain Tarauchi contacted Anchorage Air Traffic Control and requested a change of course because he was like, I'm getting chased by some weird shit. But the UFO continued to follow despite the pilot's evasive maneuvers. He was trying to get away, and they were like chasing. And all of the data, including ground radar that captured the unidentified craft, was collected and presented at a meeting with the FBI and the CIA. And government officials decided that this was probably the first radar recording of a UFO that had been formally made by, like, the public. But they were like, we're not going to record this meeting, and we're not going to confirm that it formally happened. Because it was probably them. They were probably up to some shit.
They were like, yeah. No,
you got us. Yeah.
But I can also just see, like, do you think people will believe you?
Yeah, totally. Oh my God. That's
some, like, gaslighting shit.
Yeah, the government is gaslighting us all the time. So from 1989 to 1990, there was also some reports around Belgium. So this happened between November of 89 and April 1990, a few-month period. Thousands of people, though, reportedly witnessed, again, triangular UFOs flying over various parts of Belgium. So what we see is in Europe, there's like a lot of this triangular shape. And in upstate New York, so kind of eastern hemisphere is more triangular reporting. So something's going on over there probably. And Belgian officials tracked some of these using radar. And on March 30th, 1990, 13,500 people saw two F-16s chase a UFO for like an hour. And the F-16s made 9 attempts to intercept this UFO. And they were able to make a radar lock with one of them. There was actually more than one UFO they were chasing.
So are the F-16s Belgian military or are they a different military?
You know, it doesn't say in this report, but I would imagine that they were Belgian.
Yeah, because sometimes in my mind I'm like, wait, I feel like there are some European states that don't have an army, but maybe I'm just thinking of Switzerland, and that's probably wrong.
Yeah, I think that Switzerland does have an army.
Yeah.
Do you want to fact check us?
Yeah.
I like the fact check. But during one of these radar locks, the UFO accelerated from 150 miles per hour to reportedly over 1,100 miles per hour, while changing altitude from 9,000 feet to 5,000 feet in a matter of seconds. Just like, whoa, dropped. And that might be also why people think they see things disappear. They're changing altitude really quickly. And after his retirement, Major General Wilfred de Brouwer wrote in this statement that the Belgian UFO wave was exceptional and the Air Force could not identify the nature, origin, and intentions of the reported phenomena, and it's still never been explained.
Wow. I looked it up, and there are, in fact, Belgian and Swiss militaries.
Yes.
So I was wrong. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm just like, that country doesn't have a military, and I think all countries have militaries.
Yeah, I think probably they do. There's also, though, the Switzerland, I think, is the one where the military is mostly just private citizens who are all issued a gun. And that's why, like, I'm pretty sure Napoleon didn't want to invade. Because he's like, everyone there is armed. They'll all just kill us. Like, we cannot go in there.
You know, it's funny because I feel like some, like, gun owners in the U.S. would probably think the same. Like, no country will invade us because we have the guns. And I'm like, no, I think no country will invade us because we have oceans on either side of us.
Yeah, we have oceans. Also, like, Napoleon didn't have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little different now, yeah.
But I love the logic of that. Yeah. Like, no one's gonna invade us. I'm like, I think we would see them coming for thousands of miles.
Yeah, they'd have to travel pretty far, yeah. So in 1997, we had something I had actually heard of before. It was the Phoenix Lights sightings.
Huh.
Do you remember this Phoenix thing? Phoenix, Arizona, March 13th, 1997. 8:15 p.m. And these huge silent V-shaped UFOs were seen moving across the sky by people from different spots in Arizona, honestly. And the objects were described as having 5 spherical lights. They were big enough to black out parts of the stars if they flew over your head. And around 10 p.m. that evening, the U.S. Air Force dropped slow-falling military-grade flares into the sky. Yeah. And media captured these videos of the military exercise, and they were like, this has to have something to do with the UFO sightings. And some people think that maybe the military deliberately filled the sky with lights to discredit the UFO sightings and be like, no, you just saw more flares. But the former Arizona governor, Fife Symington III, which is a really good name.
Wow.
I'm not sure what this person's politics are, so I'm not vouching for them, but that name... Fife Symington III?
I had a friend who was a third who had an even better name.
What was it?
Melvin Milton Croissant III.
No, Croissant?
That is on his driver's license.
Whoa, that is really good.
But that was his music name. I don't know if he still plays music. But yeah, real name.
Wow. Well, old Fifey boy was like, I can definitively say that this craft did not resemble any man-made object I'd ever seen. And it was certainly not high-altitude flares, because flares don't fly in formation.
I mean, as far as we know, there could be, they develop, you know how they tried to make, like, dolphins murder people with, like, knives or something?
They're doing, like, sentient flares or something.
Like, that's actually what they're developing AI for, is, like, the flares. They're alive.
Also, do you remember when the CIA did all of those training exercises with the birds?
No.
Oh, yeah, they tried to do, like, pigeons and eagles and stuff, so they could have been birds flying in formation with lights attached to them.
That's
Who knows?
I love the idea of a flock of killer parrots.
I think that's good. That would be the Highland Park horror story. The parrots are revolting against
I know there's a writer's strike right now, but I think that, like, that is a good idea for a horror movie.
Yeah. So, after this, a few years later, 2001... we're going to go to a place similar in spirit, I'm going to say, to Phoenix, Arizona. It is the New Jersey Turnpike. Same energy, same strong energy here.
I've never been to New Jersey. Well, no, wait, I have. Just the airport.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went to a rag house in New Jersey.
I didn't go.
You didn't go, yeah.
But, like, I'm sorry, Phoenix is not for me.
Phoenix, I'm going to say the whole state of Arizona, I'm going to say the whole state of New Jersey, very similar to where I'm from in energy and spirit, to Fresno, to the Central Valley. So I feel this is like my kindred locations. You know what I mean?
Arizona, as someone who grew up in the West, Southwest, not for me.
Interesting. Well, here we are hanging out on the New Jersey Turnpike. It is July 14th, 2001 at 12:15 a.m., and we're over the Arthur Kill Waterway between Staten Island and Carteret, New Jersey. I can't pronounce that one, so I'm sure people will get mad at how I pronounced it. Carteret. And what are we seeing above us while we're stuck in traffic? We're seeing strange orange and yellow lights in a V formation. And air traffic controllers were like, we're not seeing any airplanes there. We don't know any space flights happening or military jets happening. But the New York Strange Phenomena investigators, who are abbreviated to NYSPI, New York Spy, claimed that they received FAA radar data that confirmed these objects were there.
Whoa.
So it sounds like, to me, the CIA, Raytheon, the FBI, the Pentagon are all conspiring together to test some V-shaped airplanes out.
Kind of sounds like it.
For years.
Yeah, but, you know, like, weren't we talking about in our Big Gun starring Nicolas Cage episode, like, there was like $1 billion plane that took like 25 years to make that just never happened?
Yeah, there's stuff like that all the time. So then by the time we get to 2004, we have this other, like, kind of famous UFO sighting. It's the USS Nimitz encounter. So this is November 14th, 2004. The USS Princeton, which is part of the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group, noted that there was an unknown craft on radar 100 miles off the coast of San Diego. So for 2 weeks, the crew was tracking objects that were appearing at 80,000 feet and then plummeting so that they hovered right over the Pacific Ocean. And remember, the other military people said that they saw an aircraft of some kind in the sky drop suddenly in altitude. So that's what these people in San Diego are seeing. They're like, this is like dropping really, really fast in altitude.
San Diego is a military town.
Military town, exactly. So this is the USS Nimitz. It's a military thing. So then we have these two FA-18 fighter jets from the aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz. They report that they're seeing churning water in the ocean with a shadow of an oval shape underneath the surface.
Whoa. Wait,
submerged.
what do you call a UFO that's underwater?
Is it a joke?
An unidentified floating object.
Oh.
No, I made that up.
That's pretty good, though. Yeah, I believe it. I was like, swimming. It's swimming. Like, no. No, boats don't swim. It's not. The submarine isn't swimming.
I love the idea of a boat swimming, though.
Yeah,
because it is doing
How do you describe what a submarine's doing under the ocean? How is it moving under the ocean? What would you call it?
It's not floating.
No.
I guess it's just moving through the water.
It's just going.
It's sea flying.
Like, whoa, why have I never thought about this before? I guess I'm not thinking about submarines that often. I don't know why I would think I would know the term for it. But whatever. They're like, yeah, this oval's underneath the surface, and then a white tic-tac shaped object appears above the water. And you'll hear lots of, like, ufologists, like, describe certain shapes of crafts, and one will be, like, a cigar shaped or, like, a tic-tac shape. So these kind of, like, long cylindrical things. But there were no visible markings on it to indicate, like, where an engine would be, or no windows, no wings. And infrared monitors didn't reveal any, like, exhaust coming off of it. So this commander, David Fravor, and Lieutenant Commander Jim Slate of the Strike Fighter Squadron 41 attempted to intercept this craft, but then it sped away. It reappeared 60 miles away, moving 3 times the speed of sound and more than twice the speed of the fighter jets trying to follow it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so this was a pretty fast boy.
I actually found out what the verb is.
What is it?
It's submarining or submarine.
Wow, I'm
so that is the verb.
By it. The submarines through the water.
Exactly.
Wow, it's less exciting than I thought it would be.
I know.
I think I am going to say they're swimming from now on. That's better.
I like that better.
It's cuter.
I like they're sea flying.
They're sea flying. So in 2006, there was this other sighting that I heard about as well, which is at the Chicago O'Hare Airport. Did you ever hear about this one?
No.
November 7th, 2006, 4:15 p.m.
Okay, I was probably in college.
Yeah, right? I was 19, you were 20, we were in college, and I remember this happening. Flight 446, departing from Chicago, was heading to North Carolina. It was a United Airlines flight, and an employee on the tarmac noticed a gray metallic craft hovering over gate C-17 at the airport. And 11 other employees, plus a handful of witnesses outside of the airport just around town, saw it too. And it hovered there for around 5 minutes before shooting upwards, where it broke a hole in the clouds, like big enough and clear enough that pilots and mechanics were like, wow, now all of a sudden I'm not seeing clouds there, I'm seeing blue sky shine down.
Whoa.
So the FAA called it a weather phenomenon and said, the airport lights were probably responsible for contributing to this sighting looking weird in some way, but they were like, the lights hadn't been turned on at the airport. And then the Chicago Tribune filed a Freedom of Information Act request, and it uncovered that there were actual recorded conversations about it being a UFO.
Whoa.
So, like, people working at the airport were like, what the fuck is this? But then later, the FAA was like, it's a weather phenomenon. So that means it could have actually been, like some of those scientists were talking about, like, just a weather phenomenon that's been misattributed because actually they do happen and they just look really fucking weird. Or it could have been good old buddy government showed up and was like, hey boys, why don't we say this is a weather phenomenon and not our super cool airplane we're testing?
You know what was in my mind? I was like, someone's just testing out this experimental aircraft and their ex is getting on the plane in Chicago and they're like, I gotta see her, man, before she leaves. Yes. And then they're like, what's happening?
I think that actually is the most plausible.
Well, I think about, like, when people talk about the day-to-day of government spying on, like, actual citizens,
yeah.
Are like, oh, yeah, people spy on their spouses, they spy on their exes, they, like, will just randomly watch, like, naked people, and I was like, I don't know if I need proof of this, because I feel like if you just give random office workers the ability to spy on anyone at any time, someone's gonna spy on their ex.
Yeah, I think so. I think people are really concerned with their exes. I mean, something that I didn't even notice that we talked about recently is, like, I didn't realize when people were like, and now they're watching my story all the time. Finally, when I asked my best friend, I was like, how do you check who's watching your story all the time? I thought there'd be, like, somewhere on, like, Instagram that was like, your most watched people or something. And my best friend was like, you literally just swipe up and you just look and then you remember who's watching it. And then you're like, I do this all the time and this person's watching them every day. And I was like, that is so much work. That is so much work to find out who's watching my shit. I would never even think to look.
Oh my God. I cannot believe that you did not know this, since social media is kind of like your job.
I know. I just seemed like that was too, one, inelegant and too time consuming, that I'm like, nobody would be checking like this just regularly.
Oh, you're just like, oh, I know it happens, but no one does that.
No, I thought that there would be like a shortcut or like a stat, you know? Like there's some stats you're viewing.
You have to scroll through the whole list.
Yeah, that is so, I was like, whoa, but people are doing this. So yeah, if people are checking that to see if their exes are watching their stories, I mean, it's not a stretch that they're doing other shit to figure out what their exes are up to.
Yeah, and that's like why I think one of the most important news pieces of all time is when John Oliver interviewed Edward Snowden and asked him, does the government have our dick pics? And Edward Snowden was like, yes.
I also think worth throwing in just to the convo here, and I'm not sure why, in our lifetime, do you remember the story where I think she worked for NASA? She drove across the country in a diaper to try to, like, get back her ex. And she was like, I just got to get straight to where he is. I'm going to wear a diaper so I don't have to stop for bathroom breaks. Which just makes sense because, like, you have to stop for gas.
Yeah, just pee when you got gas.
Right? Like, you have to stop anyway.
Or
but
I'm also kind of... Yeah, I'm also kind of like... You can just pull over to the side of the road and piss.
Right. Yeah, no, but this was like a really wild, shocking story when we were young. Well, that was all over the news.
I think you're probably not in your right mind if you're like, I'm going to go get back my ex because he obviously still loves me even though he has a new girlfriend and I think a restraining order.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to wear a diaper because that's important.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Look, I'm not saying don't check your stories to see if your ex is looking at him. I think if I support everyone's right to be as weird as they fucking want as long as nobody's hurt. And I think that's a fun, safe way for you to just be like, I'm going to see what's up, tee-hee, and nobody gets hurt.
Yeah. Just don't drive anywhere with a diaper on to possibly...
abduct your ex and try to force them to love you again.
Yeah.
That's a bad move.
Not cool.
Not cool. Fine to do the swipe up and see if they're watching your Instagram stories. Again, not fine to try to abduct them.
Yeah.
And force them to love you.
Yeah, you know, my hot take, it's bad to force anyone to love you.
Yeah, that's why whenever there's movies about witchcraft, they're like, we can't bring people back from the dead and we can't make someone love you.
I think that's very important. And, like, also, like, in those movies, whenever, like, oh, yeah, someone can fall in love with you, the person's always just like, but do they actually really like me or is it just the magic? And they're like, we can't know.
Yeah, that's why you can never do magic to make someone love you.
Yeah, it's...
Honestly, in a lot of ways, like... movies about magic, like fantasy movies like that, where they were always like, no, it's like bad to try to make someone fall in love with you. Those were really targeting like our word culture.
Yes.
Right? They were like, this is assault. You can't take someone's agency from them. This is bad and you are violating them.
Exactly.
And I think that was pretty progressive of the fantasy world to recognize that.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, so off of that tangent, which was fun for us, I think. We're going to go to 2007 in this place called Alderney, England. So April 23rd, 2007. We're around 45 minutes flying time away from Southampton, England. And Captain Ray Barr, flying a plane, multiple passengers on the plane as well, they see 2 UFOs as they're approaching Alderney. And the Jersey Airport radar control recorded these 2 large yellow cigar-shaped objects. Remember, that's like a way a lot of ufologists describe it. For over 55 minutes. And another pilot was also flying a different plane near Sark and saw those same 2 things in the same location. And some visitors staying in a Sark hotel saw them as well from the ground.
Whoa, wait, so... Explain again, what does the cigar mean? Is it just like a cylinder?
Yeah, it's just like a cylinder. It's shaped like a cigar and it flies. And this is like a pretty... So you have the disc-shaped UFOs.
So like a
cigar shape. It's like a doobie. It's like a giant sky doobie.
Joint, like a sky joint.
Yeah, it's a sky joint.
I like sky doobie better.
I like sky doobie too. It's kind of fun. So Captain Bowyer was like, the British Civil Aviation Authority knew within 20 minutes of the sighting what was seen. And as described in a flight log, and I faxed it directly to the relevant CAA office. But nobody ever reported knowing or figuring out what they were.
Whoa.
So, then the next year, 2008, we've got the Stephenville sighting. So this is January 8th, 2008, and it's kind of the evening. And we're in Stephenville, Texas, which is around 100 miles southwest of Dallas. Dozens of people see white lights above Highway 67, first in a single horizontal arc and then in vertical parallel lines. So this local pilot, Steve Allen, estimated that these lights spanned about a mile long and half a mile wide, and that they traveled probably around 3,000 miles per hour without making a sound.
Whoa.
But this is just his guess. This is just one guy's guess. You know, I just want to say, I don't know Steve Allen. I don't know his credentials. I don't know how credible he is, but that's what he said. So the U.S. Air Force revealed weeks later, like, well, that day, just southwest of Stephenville, we had F-16s flying in the Brownwood military operating areas, which are located there. But the residents were like, there's no way these were F-16s. And the U.S. Air Force was like, they were literally F-16s and they were flying in our military airspace. So who knows? Now, 2015 has the best name for a UFO sighting. It is called the Go Fast video.
It's going really fast.
It's going really fast. The Go Fast video. And you can find this on YouTube. You can find the Go Fast video. If you look Go Fast video up, you'll find it. Here we're on the east coast of the United States, and we've got a fast-moving white oval that's about 45 feet long without wings or exhaust, like the other one that we reported seeing above the ocean going, you know. That's spotted along the east coast on a Raytheon Advanced Targeting Forward-Looking Infrared. And this was seen by an FA-18 Super Hornet pilots around this time. And
I thought you said super horny pilots.
These super horny pilots. These super horny sky pirates are just like, what's this phallus in the sky floating near me? Oh my god, it's 45 feet long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's going fast.
Go fast. Yeah. So that's what was happening with these horny pilots. No, super hornet pilots, which I'm sure like plane people are probably like, yeah, the super hornet. It feels like it's an important plane. I don't fucking know. I don't know shit about planes, but it feels important that was the type of plane. And they tracked the object at 25,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean as it flew away while simultaneously rotating on its axis.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? But yeah, these are what's widely considered to be the most credible UFO sightings that we've got. But lots of these, yeah, are just like in or near military airspaces. So since most UFO reports are thought to just be military endeavors of some kind, why wouldn't our government just come out and say that? Well, the New York Times has done some reporting about this, and they say, much of the information about the unidentified phenomena remains classified. While Congress has been briefed on some of the conclusions about foreign surveillance, Pentagon officials have kept most of the work secret, in large measure because they don't want other countries to know what their efforts are to spy on the American military. They don't want them to know that it was detected. And also they explain, you know, sometimes we're doing some shit, and we don't want them to know what our tech is. You know, during the development of spy planes like the U-2 and the SR-71 Blackbird, the U.S. government consciously admitted that they allowed rumors about UFO sightings to continue because it did help hide the development of those programs. So Sue Goff, who's a Defense Department spokesperson, says that additionally, in many cases, observed phenomena are classified as unidentified simply because sensors weren't able to collect enough information to make a positive attribution. But they're pretty sure they know what it is, or they have records. They're just like, we have to leave this marked as an unidentified flying object because we can't like tighten it up perfectly and nicely. But lots of other things are, yeah, easily identified, often are identified, like when the military was like, hey, you guys didn't see a giant weird spaceship. You saw just like a bunch of airplanes in our airspace. And everyone was like, no, because when you witness something like that, it's destabilizing. And like when I saw the SpaceX thing and I didn't know what it was, I was like, oh, you know, and I could see being like, if I decided this was a UFO and someone was like, no, that was Elon Musk being stupid, I'd be like, no, because I told so many people and it's like an issue of like pride and dignity too, you know? So whatever. In May 2022, the Pentagon released, for example, an announcement that was like, hey, these images you guys saw a while ago, these like green triangles that look like they could be alien spaceships, those were actually just drones photographed through night vision lenses.
Whoa.
Yeah. And you know that Go Fast sighting from 2015? Yeah. Well, analysis by the military was like, this is literally just an optical illusion created by the angle of observation against water. And the Pentagon calculated it out, and they were like, this thing's not moving that fast. This thing's moving 30 miles an hour.
Interesting.
Yeah. And another video of military personnel who were reportedly witnessing a UFO, which is sometimes called the gimbal video. You can look that one up on YouTube, too. That looks like it's showing a spinning object, but military officials are like, honestly, this is just the optics of this, and it's a classified image sensor, and it's designed to help target weapons to make the object appear like it's moving in a strange way. So military people who look at that video was discredited pretty fast because they're like, we know exactly what's happening here. Now, there are some UFO videos that Pentagon analysts still kind of struggle to understand, and the odds of this would probably be that these aren't our own. The Pentagon doesn't know what they are because we're not doing it. Maybe other countries are doing it, you know? One shows an object flying in the distance between other objects, so it's kind of difficult to parse, and it couldn't be an optical illusion. So they're like, this is a real craft because there's so much interference, we can't help but see the actual thing, but it's not one of ours, so we don't know what it is. Doesn't necessarily mean it's aliens, right? It just doesn't know. It just means that our government isn't responsible for it. Right? And also, some branches of the government don't talk to other ones. Some people in these like low levels of the military would not be privy to classified experimental aircraft programs.
Which is kind of funny to me, because yet some like 21-year-old dude had all these classified documents on like Ukraine and shit.
Yeah. I mean, so some people are like, I don't know what this is and I'm in the Air Force. But it's like, well, you wouldn't know because you're not high enough up to know. And that can also probably be pretty destabilizing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like super team trust the government, obviously. But I think the fact that they're like, here are some things we can explain, here are some things we can't explain, and here's a whole mountain of declassified documents where the CIA was talking about how it was a conscious strategy to mislead people for their own kind of war games, like end result. It's like, we really don't have a reason not to trust this, because we have evidence of what they were lying about, and they were lying and saying it was aliens because it protected their militaristic and capitalist money interests abroad, which just is the thing that makes sense. It's like that saying where it's like, if you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras.
Yeah.
It's like, we know what the CIA's job is. We know their job is to stop the spread of socialism. We know their job is to uphold capitalism. We know that the United States' main place they pump money into is the military. And we know we have documents of the CIA and the FBI and the Pentagon being like, these are military efforts. Yay. So it's just like, it's fun to think that there's some fantastical hidden conspiracy about aliens. But it just makes more sense that our government is lying to us about sketchy military shit they're doing.
Yeah, I also think that, like, for military spending, a lot of it is probably in their best interest to be classified if you think about the amount of money that they're spending.
Right, like the things where they come out where it's like, you wasted how many billions of dollars on this stupid airplane you never used?
Yeah, so I could see something being classified, like testing flying aircrafts, like experimental aircrafts, just being classified just because it was a total bomb and it cost a shit ton of money.
Right. And they're like, we don't want government oversight. We don't want anybody finding out that we're wasting all this money on these stupid fucking planes.
Yeah. And so, like, they get caught and they're just like, yeah, they're classified.
Yeah. Who knows what that was? A thing that's really interesting, though, and worth talking about is that recently we're seeing an uptick in UFO sightings, which means that it probably corresponds with an uptick in military development of spycraft planes.
I would also think that it might be also an uptick in private aircraft. Like, if you think about drones, SpaceX, I know there's other, like, companies who do stuff like that.
Yes. Well, a lot of it, too, they did say, like, no, this was Raytheon testing something. Yeah. So in June of 2021, there were 143 sightings of strange phenomena that were witnessed specifically by military pilots and civilians. Okay.
Interesting.
So a lot of military pilots now. And
because we trust them.
Yes, they're trustworthy. But no, also they're in the airspace where the experimental. Yeah. And these were the ones that didn't have readily identifiable explanations. And of those, 21 reports involving 18 different episodes potentially could have demonstrated like a technology that seemed more advanced than the United States. Like objects moving without observable propulsion or with like super rapid acceleration. And some people are like, we think that these are beyond the capabilities of Russia, China, and the United States, who are like kind of the top developed, kind of militaristic. So these are 21 reports total out of the 143 that the Pentagon wasn't instantly like, yeah, we know exactly what that is. There were 143 that they'd be like, what was this again? Oh, yeah. And all but 21, they were like, oh, yeah, we figured out what this was. And these 21, they're like, it could literally just be that it's so classified that people checking to see what it is don't have access to it, or it could be private, or it could be another country. Or it could just be like misreported, or like, these are accounts. We don't know.
Well, like the one aircraft that saw the thing that they thought was moving really fast, but it was just an optical illusion.
Yeah, and they were like, this was moving 30 miles an hour. And we can calculate it on the video. Right. So you don't know. So people are fallible and people get freaked out. Like when I saw the thing in the sky, I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I consider myself a relatively rational person, but still I was like, I don't know what's happening. So when you see something your brain can't automatically make sense of, it's easy to be like, I know what a UFO is in my brain. I've heard of that. Maybe it's that.
Yeah.
So,
I want, now that I'm thinking about I think it would be really funny if someone like could go back in time and have like video recording of me encountering this weird Komodo dragon thing, and it turns out it's literally just a lizard. Like a normal ass lizard. Or just like someone's escaped iguana.
But it is like fun to believe there's something fantastical and magical in the world. So I get why it's like, ooh, what if, you know? And that is exciting. And I love all this shit. Like, I love, like, paranormal investigation. Like, I love the sci-fi shit. Like, I'm super into this because it is fun to imagine. It's fun to build worlds. It's a world-building exercise. But, you know, it's like when you really think about it, like, yeah, this is just military shit. It's just another form of, like, Iron Man movies or something.
Well, yeah, like I think a lot of it, I mean, maybe people are seeing more recently because it's just so in our culture. Like it's X-Files, it's, you know, Men in Black, which I guess I love. Like, I guess I love that movie.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Or like, you know, just in general, like I think like UFOs are a really, really popular thing.
And it's fun.
And
like,
it's fun.
Aliens
Like Star
are
Trek.
a fun part of our culture. Yeah.
Like, it's also, like, I love, like, aliens are a really good thought experiment on how society works.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think about Star Trek, even that show we were talking about, with the creator from The Family Guy.
Oh, right. Oh,
my friend was on it,
your friend
too.
was on it. Yeah. The
people...
sci-fi show. Orville.
But, like, those are all thought experiments on how society could work.
Yeah.
Which I think is, like, people... I think our culture, because since Reagan, has been, like, conservative in the sense of, like, if you change things are just going to be bad. Or you can't change the system.
Yeah, it's like this for a reason, and it's always been this way. When we know, statistically, actually shit's a lot worse than it's always been. Income gaps are getting worse. Houses are getting more expensive. Wages are going down. Like... But it's presented as though, no, this is the way it's always been, when in reality, it already is changing for the worse. Why can't we change it for the better?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, people are like, well, it is the way it is because it's like it's predestined. It's like, right. You know, what do they call it? The right of kings, or it's biology. When, and a matter of fact, it's people making these moral and ethical decisions. And I think aliens people really like because they have the freedom to get out of the kind of social confines of conservatism.
And it is a clean slate for you to imagine a better world.
Yeah, and I think that's why people are really into UFOs. That's why people are really into Coast to Coast, George Norrie. I actually would love to do a spin-off show where we just talk about, like, angels and shit.
Yeah, I think that would be so fun. Oh my god.
Like, no, but I think that people, or like how we talk about astrology, I think because of the way that our culture is, people need these fantastical things to be able to imagine things being better. And I actually think that that's why a lot of people latch on to conspiracy theories, because it gives you an explanation that is not just the banality of evil.
Right.
You know, where it's just totally like, true. No, we're fighting against lizard Komodo dragon.
Right.
Like lightsaber people. And not like, oh, well, it's like...
It's the CIA and the FBI.
And it's like...
capitalists. And the CEO of Raytheon working with our military.
And just like the idea of like, you know, people taking advantage of hierarchy, shitty bosses, shitty environments. We have to struggle when we shouldn't have to struggle. Like, you know, I think it's a lot of that. And I think people need this shit. Like, because like otherwise it's just, you know, it gives... like light to your life. Like why would you want to make the world a better place if you're just like, well, this shit's gonna go to hell anyway, you know? Like,
right. I think it is necessary to be able to imagine a world worth working towards, you know?
Yeah.
To imagine something that could be better. And I think that's also why, like, have you seen Mars Attacks?
Yes. Oh yeah, that movie
Mars Attacks
rocks.
is so good. But it's about aliens coming to Earth, and it's like really, really funny. If you haven't seen it, it's great. It's from the 90s. It's super campy. But there are people who are like, the aliens are going to save us, and they're presented as being these hippies, and they're like, the aliens are going to show us a better way to live. But I think that, like, there is this group of hyper spiritual people who do believe in the paranormal and believe specifically in like alien encounters, and you can really see for them it is an exercise of, like you said, a thought experiment and a better value system, a better way that we could live, like a more harmonious way of being. And usually it comes with like a fatalistic kind of viewpoint where you're like, our society's so far gone, we need an external force to save us, which is like, to me, the part where it kind of strays. It's like, we don't need an external source to save us. We can save ourselves. Yeah, we have to to do it. Nobody's going to come save us. We have to fix this shit. But yeah, so we have all these reports, you know, of these sightings, and skeptics believe that, yeah, all of this, including even videos recorded by cameras on like the military fighter jets and stuff, all of it's getting explained by optical tricks or naturally occurring phenomena. And a lot of people are frustrated that since these things are easily like disproven, like debunked, they're like, why isn't the United States taking further steps to like publicly debunk these UFO sightings every single time they happen with science? This is things like a lot of skeptics have been talking about and getting upset about. And the Pentagon has dabbled in coming up with these task force to address these sightings for a while. But as we can tell by like hearing about the aims and the goals of the CIA working with the military, working with the FBI throughout the Cold War, obviously early on and during Cold War eras especially, and even now that we have new military enemies around the world, it's not necessarily in our best interest to explain all of these videos. So you can see how there's like this push and pull between like how much should they divulge. So in the 1950s and 1960s, the Air Force had Project Blue Book, which was supposed to examine these UFO reports. But then a 1,485-page report from the University of Colorado found that there was no scientific or military value in even examining UFO sightings and trying to come up with an explanation. And then up until 2012, Luis Elizondo, who was a military intelligence official, ran like basically a real-life X-Files style department in the Pentagon, which was called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. And it was shut down in 2012 because they were kind of like, oh, this isn't really serving us or useful in any way. And again, if they're trying to keep secrets from the American public, this could actually be like the opposite of their military goals. But some people were like, even though it was formally shut down in 2012, it did still continue, especially with those, you know, like the 21 reports where they're like, well, this isn't our guys, so we got to figure out whose guys this is in case this is some sort of military threat, something like that. Then in 2020, the Pentagon announced that it had a new group, which is called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. And this is what the government is calling UFOs now. They're calling them UAPs, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. And in November of 2021, they announced that there would be a different group to investigate parts of these unidentified aerial phenomena in sensitive areas, which would be called the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, which they really have to get snappier names for these things.
They need acronyms.
They need acronyms because what is this? TAOIMSG? No, it's not a good acronym. That doesn't spell anything. They need something that spells like Sky Daddy or something.
Sky Daddy.
You know?
Save us, Sky Daddy.
Yeah. But this is overseen by both the military and those intelligence agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, via executive councils made up of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, the Director of the Joint Staff, and senior officials from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So it's like this is the military and intelligence agencies like the CIA, like the FBI, coming together to accomplish a common goal. And you're like, what's the common goal? The common goal we know is to like maintain American supremacy and also uphold capitalism. And especially because if you haven't listened to our episode about the CIA, that is literally the whole reason the CIA exists. It is to fight socialism. That is its whole goal. So initial reports do seem to indicate, you know, that all of these things that are happening could also be just in general friendly flyers, they're called. Like I said, like other military planes that you're not privy to what they're up to because it's on a need to know basis and they decided you don't need to know. So sometimes it might not even be that secretive. It might just be like other guys from your military base doing something that's not your business. So even though we have like some pretty good explanations, obviously, for what this stuff is, since March of 2021, there have been more than 360 new UFO cases that have been reported to U.S. intelligence agencies. And yeah, the majority of these reports come from U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force aviators and operators who witnessed unidentified aerial phenomena. So basically, we're in this new renaissance of UFO sightings, just like happened during the Cold War. And this means that the CIA must be, yes, fighting socialism abroad in a major way. So before our very eyes, UFO sightings by U.S. troops are surging, all while we're being told that who is our greatest threat on the planet? China.
Oh,
China.
Yeah. So, with the China weather balloon, supposedly.
Yes, this is exactly what I thought about the Chinese weather balloon thing from early in 2023. So, Kenna, what do you remember about this?
People were just freaking out that there was a Chinese weather balloon, supposedly. I actually didn't know the story, but they were saying that it was a giant weather balloon, but it was actually like it could be a tracking device from China, and it definitely wasn't like a U.S. weather balloon. And then people were like, it might have just like wandered off course, and other people were like, no, it's definitely a spy balloon. Yes. And then I just wasn't that interested.
Yeah, so in February of 2023, a U.S. fighter jet shot down a high-flying object above Lake Huron on Joe Biden's orders. And at 2:42 p.m. Eastern Time, an F-16 launched a heat-seeking AIM-9X missile at an unidentified object flying at around 20,000 feet above the Great Lake.
I'm sorry. No. I'm just imagining like some dude with their drone getting exploded by like an F-16.
Well, also, this is funny because a group of hobbyists were like, we think maybe our balloon was shot at by a U.S. military missile. So this was just like this weird chaotic period. It was an 8-day period where 4 times the American military destroyed what they called a mysterious craft in midair in this region. And China was like, yeah, this is really weird because one of our weather balloons, like way high up, we're not talking like low in airspace, we're talking about like high up in the atmospheres where these weather balloons go. China's like, yeah, the first one was one of our weather balloons and it did stray off course. But we don't know about these other 3 things you were exploding. Also, sorry about our balloon. And all these people were like, it was not a weather balloon. They were trying to spy. And then all these people in China were like, no offense. Like, we make technology. If we wanted to spy on you, we could do it better than with a giant fucking balloon the size of a minivan that you can clearly see. Like, we would just make a cool, like, drone you don't see. Why would we want to spy on your Great Lake with a thing that we know just figures out the weather?
Oh my gosh, this is like after 9/11. Like every small town was convinced that their tourist attraction was going to be the next thing that would like
targeted.
I'm like, Mom, no one is going to blow up the bridge in town. Like,
no, my aunt thought that our local mall in Fresno was going to be taken out by like a missile or something. But yeah, this is the thing. It's kind of like, this doesn't even strategically make sense. Like, China was just kind of like, if we wanted to spy on you, we do it way better than this. Also, like, we literally have satellites circulating the planet that can pick up anything we want already. Kind of like how, Snowden was like, the government has your dick pics. It's like, there are so many more sophisticated ways of gathering data and intelligence. Like, this doesn't even make sense. And they like immediately copped to it. They were immediately like, sorry about our balloon. What the fuck are those other things you guys exploded though? That had nothing to do with that. We don't. And then when the hobby group was like, we just released this balloon as part of this like hobbyist project we do. Like, you guys didn't need to shoot it down with a missile. It was just like, chaos was reigning.
I don't know why it's so funny to me to like the idea of blowing up someone's like balloon that they're just releasing for fun.
Yeah.
With, like a fucking heat-seeking
missile. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just so funny to me.
It is like very Dr. Strangelove.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like it literally just seems like a sketch comedy show. It seems like something that would be in like a stupid Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. media really had a field day with this. They were like, this was just a bad, clumsy spy attempt. Look how stupid they were. Haha, we foiled them. And China was like, we can spy on you better than, this is not spy. Okay. Doesn't really add up, right? They're like the most technologically developed, huge, major nation, right? They can build a subway stop in 9 hours. Did you see that video of them doing this? They built like a whole subway station in 9 hours, but it's like, you think they can't build a spy drone? You think they need to do a giant, weird, clumsy weather balloon?
Yeah, I feel like maybe an allegory would be if the U.S. has your dick pics, that China has your butt pics.
Yeah, maybe.
So you're covered. Like,
we're covered. Everybody, they could do it. If they want to do it, they could spy better. They could do this better. But yeah, the general consensus being pushed in the media is that like China was fully invading the U.S. somehow. It was like the war was imminent. And this always kills me because I'm like, if you really think that's happening, like China's going to invade the U.S., you think the U.S. is going to win? We couldn't win wars in agrarian economies against like guerrilla. Like we couldn't win in Vietnam, and we had a huge, huge military. Like, You know what I mean? Like, why do you think we would win if China invaded the U.S.?
I also just don't think it would be very advantageous for China to do that. Because it's like, I already talked about, we have the oceans.
We've got the ocean. Yeah, you're just like, this doesn't...
And also, it's like, China does a lot of business with us. Like, I don't think you want to blow up, like, one of your biggest
customers. Yeah.
And vice versa. That's why I'm so confused by this.
I know. It's just one of those political things, though. It's a political thing because China's got the Marxist-Leninist leadership, and the Cold War's over. We lost our little USSR enemy, so now the new enemy is China, you know, and they're trying to manufacture consent in the American public for a war against China, to talk about how awesome capitalism is. And we see, you know, like when we did our Radio Free Whatever story, like about Radio Free Asia, all of the propaganda that the CIA spits out trying to convince us all China's our enemy, you know, and that also furthermore that everything in China is so dystopian and horrible when it's like, we deal with people in China all day, every day for work.
Yeah.
They're just normal people living their lives, and they have a 90% home ownership rate, you know?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't think we're pro or against anyone. We're just kind of like, you know.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like the the people of the world, like, there actually shouldn't be pro or against any other just people of the world. Everybody should be against the power structures that take advantage of us and exploit us.
And, like, the billionaire assholes who make things worse. Like,
right.
That's who I'm really against. I'm not, you know, like... which is so weird to... I mean, it's not weird to drum up all this shit. It's for making money purposes.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Our government wants to convince us right now that China is the enemy because it serves so militaristic, capitalist end goal. And that's the thing where I'm just like, you know what? I'm pretty skeptical of anybody my government tells me is the enemy because I've seen who our government has historically told the American people is the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, like, our government told the American people that the enemy was Laos when we did our episode about the Laotian bombings, or Vietnam, when it's just like, those are just people who didn't want to be owned and colonized by France. Like, look at the people that we've been told are the bad guys. Yeah. Anyway, so also an interesting thing that came along with this, like, China weather balloon thing is that there was an article from The Guardian in 2019 that specifically said the U.S. military was conducting its own wide area surveillance tests in the same area where those balloons were with balloon technology. High altitude balloons, and this was all according to documents that our government filed with the FCC outlining that they were going to do this. So there's a good chance we blew up our own balloons.
I don't know why balloon technology just seems really steampunk to me.
I know. I'm just like, this is what.
We have advanced balloon technology. Please put on your balloon goggles so you can spin the whirly dad.
And then we exploded it. We were like, what the fuck is this? We probably did this. This is probably our own shit based on this data and the paperwork we filed internally with our own government. But the most interesting thing about all of this, on top of the manufacturing consent for a war with China and trying to convince American people that Chinese people are our enemies somehow, the most interesting thing about this actually doesn't have to do with any of that. And it has to do, again, yes, with aliens. Because when asked directly, a senior military official talking about these weather balloons and potentially the hobbyist balloon and then potentially two just American balloons, right? This guy was like, I am not ruling out the possibility that the other three crafts that weren't the Chinese weather balloon, they could be extraterrestrial.
With their balloon technology.
He's just throwing this shit out there.
They also wear top hats.
Yeah, they're steampunk. All the aliens are steampunk now. That's what we've learned from General Glenn Van Herk, commander of the U.S. Northern Command and North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD. He told reporters, I haven't ruled out anything. So I'm like, maybe you can rule some things out.
I'm sorry, but if aliens were to come to Earth and then just build balloons...
I mean, it's like the billboards you see that are like, come to New Mexico, and it's just like hot air balloons everywhere.
Yes.
Maybe that's the future we want. Maybe the aliens are trying to give us a better future, just full of hot air balloons.
I am not going in a fucking hot air balloon.
It's a little scary.
It's terrifying to me.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Also, one time, when my mom was, before I think she was pregnant with me, like, she was like, her and my dad were like, had only been married for a little bit. And she woke up one day because they had this beautiful house in like the middle of nowhere, and she was like, the sky just turned orange, like our whole, like, 'cause she was like, we were on the top like bedroom, and like it just turned orange, and there's this whoosh, 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 whoosh. And she was like, it hit the house, and I was like, she was like, the rapture is coming. And she was like,
of course.
She's like, I'm completely naked. Completely.
I don't think God's gonna mind.
It turns out a hot air balloon had crashed into the house.
That is wild. What are the odds of that? You gotta look up how many times a hot air balloon has crashed into a house.
I don't know if it crashed into the house or it landed just by the house to where the entire balloon part was like in the window.
How big are these things?
They're huge.
Whoa.
And she's like, oh, so for sure some like hot air balloon enthusiast like saw my bare ass.
Wow. Fascinating. So just 1 month after this Chinese spy balloon incident, Sean Kirkpatrick, who's the director of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which is the head of their Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Research Office, wrote in a research paper, there's a possibility that extraterrestrial motherships and smaller probes may be visiting planets in our solar system. So just to confirm, this is the director of the Pentagon's kind of head of their unidentified aerial phenomena, which is the UFO. The head Pentagon UFO guy is here saying an artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth, an operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA missions. So this Pentagon guy is just like, yeah, could be aliens. Could be aliens with a big ship that releases lots of baby ships to come figure it. And I'm just like, what the fuck are they talking about?
And it's not exactly like NASA at all.
Yeah. And the co-author of this paper that was released, Abraham Loeb, who's the chairman of Harvard University's astronomy department, was like, yeah, it's possible that aliens already visited us in October of 2017.
What?
And I cannot get a read on this guy. I can't figure out, I'm like, are you just like bought and sold by the U.S. government, man? Like, are you in on it? Or are you just like, science is fun and it'd be cool if there were aliens, Mr. Harvard astronomy guy?
Yeah, like, is he ancient aliens? Or is he like,
is he just going where the money's flowing? Yeah, I don't know.
Or is it just like, yeah, or is he a true believer or like an opportunist? There's just so much drift. Like, anytime... It always ends up someone is trying to sell you a supplement. Like, yeah, the aliens, blah, blah, blah. And then you need krill oil.
Yeah, maybe Abraham Loeb is trying... we got to do some research into Abraham Loeb. We're coming for you, Abraham Loeb. We're going to find out everything about you in a non-threatening way. It's just very... but basically, he said this because the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii in October of 2017 detected an object moving at a speed that caused some scientists to suggest that maybe it originated outside of our solar system. And the object's orbit also hinted at other forces besides just the sun's gravitational pull influencing its movement.
Interesting.
So people were like, oh, maybe. But yeah, all of this really just takes me back to those Cold War, CIA, alien rumor days where the government let these myths about aliens spread through vague ambiguities to distract people from its political agenda upholding capitalism around the planet, and especially to distract from our efforts to sabotage countries under Marxist-Leninist leadership. And it sounds like our government could be playing by the same book we used all those years ago against the USSR, blaming aliens for our military entanglements and equipment tests when things go wrong. Yeah. Just like something goes wrong, what can we blame it on? And it's like the answer is always just a giant light-up sign that says aliens?
Yeah, because like, but you can't find them. You can't really blame them because they're out there and they don't want to be caught.
Yeah, and this guy, Andrew Fracknoy, who's an astronomer at the Fromm Institute for Lifelong Learning at the University of San Francisco, says recently there has been a flurry of misleading publicity about UFOs based on military reports. A sober examination of these claims reveals that there is a lot less to them that first meets the eye. And Robert Schaefer, who's a leading skeptical investigator of UFOs, says the Pentagon has already suffered enough embarrassment from the incompetence of its UAP task force. Remember, UAP is the new UFO term they use. So he's like, it's time to rein in what he calls the rampant foolishness. And I'm like, dang, that's a burn. And
I love when people call someone foolish or a fool.
Yeah. Right? You're just like, oh, it is foolish. But all of this just means that, yeah, like next time you look up into the sky and you're like, what's that thing moving above me? You know, we should think about the U.S. capitalist military industrial complex before we think about little green men, because I think that UFOs just might be The greatest PSYOP campaign that the CIA ever pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the episode on aliens, which I swear I did not know would go in a CIA direction. It just all roads point to it. We're the most heavily propagandized country on Earth.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you think about the aliens, Kenna?
It just seems like a way to intentionally create confusion to cover up misconduct and basically just military industrial foolishness.
Yeah. It's totally true. I mean, I should have guessed the correlation between the Cold War and the first flurry of UFO sightings, because when we think about the atomic era, it's all heavily influenced by the idea of UFOs, the idea of aliens, the idea of the atomic bomb, the idea of the Cold War. It's all of those things. The space age. It's the space age. And it had to do with the space race. You know, it's like all these things kind of come together to create this like zeitgeist, this like cultural moment, this era. But I'm surprised I never made the correlation that there could be like nefarious plotting to make these things coincide.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the propaganda machine, military-industrial complex is creating an enemy no matter what to keep money flowing into the military.
And also to uphold imperialism.
So it's really important to not only create confusion, but to also create an enemy.
Yep.
So it's like you're doing whack-a-mole being like, oh, Russians, aliens, you know, some other foreign country.
Now it's China.
You know, it's like all of this to distract people from the real problem, which is like the government is inept. They're misspending money and they don't care about people having the human rights of housing, healthcare, and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Food to eat.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's totally true. It's just a weird ass fucking distraction, man.
Yeah, and unfortunately, sometimes it's fun.
You know, the aliens are a fun one. I hate it when the CIA does something fun.
I know, now they gotta do angels. Now I want to do an episode on angels.
Oh, maybe that'd be a fun bonus episode.
Ooh. Yeah. And cryptids.
Angels and other cryptids. And the angel as cryptid.
Ooh, wow.
Right? Oh,
wow.
exciting.
I feel like we could make it intellectual too.
I think so. All right, well, that's our episode on aliens.
Yep.
And as always, we will have all the sources in the show notes. If you just like scroll down on the description, they'll be there at the bottom. And I have some fun declassified FBI and CIA documents I'm going to put in there. You know, I love that primary source material. So if you guys want to check out where all this info comes from, I think there's going to be some good sources.
Yeah, and also, you know, if you liked what you heard, you can support us on Patreon, and that is patreon.com/pickmeupimscared.
Yes, we will be there. And I will post the SR-71 music video from the early 2000s, Miss Wright.
Nice.
In honor of one of the aircrafts that was responsible for up to 50% of all UFO sightings. Mm-hmm. All right, that's it. We love you. Thanks. Goodbye. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Pick Me Up, I'm Scared. If you would like to join us on Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/pickmeupimscared. And like always, all of our sources will be in the show description if you just scroll down a bit. Our Patreon is currently starting at $2 per month, but if that's too much money for you, we totally get it, and we're just happy you're here.